Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We are going to have a particularly jam-packed and important worldwide transmission today. Thank you for joining us. It is the 13th day of March, 2012. Well, I had an extreme epiphany, awakening, understanding this morning. And much of the realization I had, I already knew, but it really hit me hard right between the eyes. And I will break down this epiphany as best I can, and I will make it one of the main goals of this radio show to explore this epiphany. I have explored this some in the past, but it is the big enchilada. I felt like Saul of Tarsus on the road to Damascus. It is in times of great change that we see the best and the worst of people. And I can tell you that society is in a very grave crisis, not just militarily, not just intellectually, but in our gut, in our spirit, in our soul. And I will break down this epiphany on the other side, this realization, this higher level of awakening that I've experienced. And this awakening is simple confirmation. What's so bizarre, I actually called Paul Watson during this happening and told him it was happening. And he said, no, I'm noticing it too. I'll give you a little hint. People were just running off the road everywhere, going into zombie state. They're putting stuff in the water. They got wavelengths going. It is wild. I mean, we've all got to fight for our consciousness right now. This is hardcore what's going on. And something big's about to happen. What I saw driving into work this morning was bizarre. And it's even being pointed out. In fact, I saved the newspaper and then lost it on the RV coming back. I don't know where it is. Guys, can you guys type whatever the newspaper is in Orlando? Something like pedestrian accidents way up. And then it gets into people not paying attention and walking out in front of cars and walking into fountains and falling off balconies. Because I kept meaning to pull up more data. I knew it was important because I've been seeing it. But the public now is just walking out in front of cars, bicycles coming out on 70-mile-an-hour highways right in front of you, vehicles just flying off highways, people texting while driving. You talk to the public on the street, they're either totally awake or they're in zombie state. And I'm already getting into the epiphany. It's just I was seeing it this morning. It was like a video game driving into work this morning, just wrecking and splattering and jumping mediums and it was women just texting while they're driving with computer screens up to their faces, flying off highways. And this is the insertion into the Matrix. They're coming out. In fact, we reprinted it, came out last week. New video games to interface with brain. I mean, it's all coming out, these neural hookups. I mean, you put a kid in front of the TV, you see him go into a trance state. A literal sleepwalking brainwave occurs when you hook them up to the different systems that read brainwaves. My God. I don't know how we're going to stand against this weapon system. We're living in a science fiction movie. I hope you realize that. By the way, what we told you 8 years ago has now been publicly announced. Google is the National Security Agency. That's mainstream news. DARPA. It's an NSA two-way grid. It's a crystal ball. It's an electronic crystal ball system, they now admit it. We're not in Kansas anymore. It's 2012. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com.
Folks, Iran and the Mideast nuclear mess is already ballooning our gas prices. Whether you're struggling with food costs, which are being blown up by gas costs now, or know that when the Mideast showdown explodes, whatever food supply you have is all you'll get because of huge panic demand, eFoods Direct Family Packs are the answer. Now, the most affordable best food is saving you up to 50% compared to other poor quality food companies. The new Alex Jones Quick Fix Family Packs save you so much money, the savings from eating this food will actually help you pay your other bills. No matter what effect the Mideast crisis or the crashing economy have, you'll have food as delicious tonight as 25 years from now. Order now for 50% savings and free shipping on these affordable family packs. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
It is Tuesday, the 13th day of March, 2012. We only had him on for about 15 minutes Sunday. I didn't have time to finish our discussion. I wanted to get into the latest on the world financial meltdown and what's happening in Europe and how that affects us with investigative journalist Greg Palast. He'll be popping in for about 20, 30, 40 minutes, I'm not sure, in the second hour. And then investigative journalist Jon Rappoport, who used to work for ABC News and CBS and decided to quit working for him about 16 years ago to expose the globalist. Always an informative interview. He'll be joining us on a host of issues. I talked to Paul Watson this morning, and he's going to have breaking news. You know, about 3 weeks ago, he found the big bioethics journal that is used for policy worldwide in hospitals. They no longer have the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm. And they said, we're going to start killing people up to age 3 and old people. If we decide, the government decides your life isn't worth living and that we say you're not conscious, then we are going to start killing you. And then Christian Science Monitor, London Telegraph, Associated Press, they all picked it up a few days later, and it became a big discussion. See, they don't want to have all this rolled out now. They didn't want death panels being discussed pre-passage of the health care bill. After it was passed, they said, yeah, you kill grandma, you hire 10 teachers, Bill Gates said. And then they could have, Newsweek with the cover story, The Case for Killing Granny, showing an old lady with the plug being pulled on her on the cover. The only way they can get away with this is that they have basically mesmerized the public. When you hear folks say the public's in a trance, people are like sleepwalking zombies. That is your subconscious, highly powerful brain. The conscious is only the small, narrow focus of that huge supercomputer we've all got between our ears. Those are not hyperbole. It's out of the mouths of babes. That's what's going on. And I've done countless radio shows and had doctors on and shown the brain waves lowering when you watch television or play video games for extended periods of time. And I've read the DARPA documents on air where they talk about artificially lowering brain waves and lowering consciousness with chemicals, different wavelengths through television, and biologicals as well. It's a cocktail. And DARPA admits that for at least a decade they've been testing, this was in the Baltimore Sun 10 years ago, on cell towers, testing carrier waves that they found can affect human emotion. I mean, this is admitted in the scholarly documents and has even come out in newspapers. So we're not in Kansas anymore. We're in a Buck Rogers world. Here it is. Department of Justice wants court to keep Google NSA partnership secret. The NSA and CIA founded it 12 years ago on record. I've had former top technology advisors from the CIA, like Dr. Steele, on to break it down. I mean, 7, 8, 9 years ago, we covered this. Here is CNET News. Google hires DARPA director, Regina Duggan. Well, they're just publicly merging. See, the New World Order is uncloaking right now. Open world government's being announced. Open chemicals to be added to the water is being announced. They're already doing it, but now they're announcing it. It's all happening. I want you to understand this. And the problem is I study this obsessively, probably, let's not exaggerate, I study probably 7 hours a day. I handle administrative things another 3 or 4 hours a day. And then I'm on air 3 or 4, sometimes 5 hours a day. Well, 6, 7 hours a day when I do interviews. And every basic instinct I've got, every selfish human survival mechanism that my supercomputer, again, hundreds of times more complex and deep than my focused conscious mind, is telling me, get your children, get your wife, evacuate, run, 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 run. And then, sure, on my YouTube videos, on average, we get about 98% support. No one gets that on the web. People are waking up, but still, I look at those who are making jokes about us, and they think this is hyperbole. They think this is a joke. Let me explain something to you. The eye has not seen, the ear has not heard. I cannot articulate to you what we're on the verge of, okay? Okay? The globalists are all about denying reality, living in a fantasy world. And they're trying to get you to buy into it. They want you to choose the Matrix. And the Matrix is real. We're not in tanks, as batteries powering some system. We are, as the globalists call us, human resources walking around, powering and running their system. They're not in full control yet. This is not a total Matrix yet. But through the television, through the video games, through the bombardment on the street of the Times Square style system that's going in everywhere in Walmarts and malls, this total bombardment of propaganda and subliminals, the globalists themselves say they are inserting us into a hybrid system. In fact, it was written in the 70s by DARPA that by 2020, 2025, they would begin the insertion of humans into tanks. See, the Matrix is only imitating what DARPA plans. And I have shown you those chapters. The Federation of American Scientists in 2000 released it. It had been declassified to them. The Department of Defense requested it be reclassified. And they said, we're going to have a hive mind, interconnected. Humans will choose to enter tanks and live. See, that's why in the 70s, Philip K. Dick was living in San Francisco and other areas and hanging out with all these people from Silicon Valley. And I've talked to people that manage the Philip K. Dick estate. I'll leave it at that. Philip K. Dick was not crazy. Philip K. Dick, before he died, was robbed. His safe was robbed. He had a big book coming out that was basically going to be nonfiction and was going to tell everybody what was going on. PKD. And you read all that and you go, man, so much of this is what's happening. Just like 1932, Brave New World is written by Aldous Huxley. And it's got people shrunk down, a servant class to about 2 feet tall. It's got everybody drugged through the food and water, and the genetic engineers basically giving themselves near immortality, and then genetically engineering the general public with their biological androids. Of course, he then wrote, before he died and spoke, Huxley did at Berkeley, and said, this is actually our plan, and even though I'm telling it to you, you're not going to be able to escape it. Now, Paul Watson just ran into government documents. We just published more yesterday about the Rockefeller Foundation and all of this, where they're openly saying that they're pushing ahead with the drugging of the water, and all of it. It's a Brave New World plan. They say they're going to shrink us down within the next few generations to the little servant class. Now, it's questionable whether they're going to be able to implement this, but the GMO that's fed to rodents does exactly what they're saying that they want to implement with this system. And Watson's got an article coming out in a few hours on this subject with new documents that are public, but no one is reported on. Just like they're teaching the bioethicists that soon they're going to start killing babies after birth, even if they're totally healthy. And I know when we first posted that article, people thought it was satire and a joke, even though we were listing the documents. And then 3 days later, you saw it all over mainstream news. Folks, this is all real, okay? This is all real. Most of us are already walking dead. We've already been given lethal dosages of chemical and biological agents. The next generation, you're already seeing it, is just going to be malformed, addled, mentally retarded, cancer, pediatric cancer that's already up over 20,000%. General cancer is up over 2,000% on average, is just going to be epidemic. Most people you know are going to die of cancer. It's total warfare. That's why if they kill me, I'm not even worried about it anymore. It's just I have reached a place of peace, and I realize all we can do is try to inject sanity. Crazy, mad scientists are running things. And I am swimming in documentation. And the globalists openly, you can look this up. Brainwaves are lower on average. The general public is in a trance. There's all sorts of narcoleptic disorders off the chart now because once the brain gets trained to go into a sleep phase, it'll start sinking deeper. Got to stop watching television, folks, especially. Because even if you're watching a good show, there can be a carrier wave over it. I am 100% banning my children from even documentaries and computers now. I have to go and do it. It's that bad. This is a total globalist revolution against humanity. And here's the epiphany I had. I was driving into work this morning on a highway, and people now just slam their brakes on. People are driving 70 miles an hour, 65, 70. They slam their brakes on in front of you now to make a turn with no concern for themselves or you. See, that's what Prozac does in runoff in frogs and other amphibians, fish, and crustaceans, and things like shrimp. You can look at the big studies that just the Prozac runoff in the water, that they're committing suicide. They just swim right up to fish. Birds are flying right into windows more and more. There's big articles about pedestrians all over the place. They're suddenly walking out into traffic. People are suddenly just falling off their bicycles everywhere. Bicycles now, I see it all the time, just pulled right out into 70-mile-an-hour traffic down interstate highways. Just totally insane, no connection to reality. Fatalities are off the chart. And I call Watson and I go, I got cars slamming their brakes on in front of me. People are texting all around me while they're driving. I'm looking at people, they look like zombies. He goes, I know, I'm seeing it myself. And I hang the phone up, and right as I get on 290, I'm going to tell you about when we come back and I go to Watson. This woman I look at her driving erratically. I'm going to tell you about this when we get back. She literally was sleep driving. And you're about to see this get a lot worse. Hello, I'm Alex Jones. Myself, my family, the Infowars.com team want to relay to you and your families that we are intensifying our efforts against the globalist on every front. Infowars.com is leading the fight against the technocrats. But we can't do that without your help. By getting the films, bumper stickers, and t-shirts at Infowars.com, you will wake up people in your area and support our operation as we move to the next level. We need your help to spread the word like never before. They wish to hide themselves during this tectonic battle between the forces of freedom and darkness. You are the response to the globalist technocrats and their program of global eugenics, dehumanization, and ultimate extermination. The war is here. It's an info war. The spirit of 1776 versus the mindset of 1984.
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
HempUSA.org has moved and expanded its operations for faster worldwide shipping. Our product line has grown from 5 to nearly 100 items in less than 5 years. Our food is grown naturally, always chemical-free, not found in stores. Great for daily intake and perfect for your emergency storage shelter. Call 908-691-2608 or visit HempUSA.org and see what our powders, seeds, and oil can do for you.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit, then carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a silver dollar in a book explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Hey there, you've reached Claire. Leave me a message.
Claire, it's Ann. Hey, you know that hormone balancing product we talked about before? The all-natural one, Amberen? Well, I gotta tell you this. Not only did Amberen stop my hot flashes, but since I started the Amberen program, I have lost so much weight. Seriously, even my belly fat, it's gone. I haven't been this thin in years. I feel great. Give me a call.
The leading cause of weight gain in women over 40 is hormonal imbalance. Until you balance your hormones, it can be practically impossible to lose weight. Amberen restores hormonal balance naturally, so the weight can just fall off. Yes, even that stubborn belly fat. Plus, Amberen eliminates other symptoms of hormonal aging too. So with your hormones in balance, you can feel great and finally lose the weight. Be one of the first 50 callers right now, and they'll send you a complimentary risk-free trial with a 30-day supply, free. Call 1-800-408-1130. That's 1-800-408-1130. 1-800-408-1130.
It's not that people just aren't paying attention and walking into fountains, walking into cars. I was just looking at the statistics during the break. Off the charts in the Western world, increase in pedestrian fatalities. I was driving down Southwest Parkway one day and came up over a hill. I was going about 65 miles an hour. And it's also part of a reality-denying arrogance. A bunch of 10-speed riding, bike riders were actually out in the road. Not on the shoulder. They wanted to be in the road like it's theirs. And I narrowly got out of the lane, even though there was a car behind me, slammed my brakes on, and shot behind the other car. And they're getting killed every day, every hour. I mean, the numbers are just hundreds of bike riders getting plowed a week. And again, pedestrians walking out in front of cars. This is a phenomenon that's admitted. But it's more than just getting mesmerized by texting while you're driving. It's that the computer screen, once you become synced with it, there's different studies on the average computer screen or television, depending on the flicker rate. It might take 45 minutes the first time to go into a mesmerized state and lower your brain waves and go into a sleep state. But once you've done it, it can take seconds. You ever notice children, when they see a television on, suddenly you can't get their attention even if firecrackers were going off in the room? This is what we're talking about. And this is on record. I was let into the University of Texas Psychology Department now 10 years ago by one of the top people who will remain nameless and is no longer there, has moved on to another facility, even more elite. And I was shown stuff, all of it was DARPA funded. Every, or Department of Defense, same thing. And the whole place was giant multi-million-dollar labs on how to have subliminals to make women sexually aroused when they watch a commercial, or how to have retina trackers when you're in a store shopping following your eye, or how to face scan you when you enter a bar, and they would tell you how many men were in a bar versus women. Now those apps are being rolled out on the streets. And just all studying every little facet. And monkeys chained down with wires in their brains. These were TVs. I could see, the monkeys out at the base outside Austin, just with flicker rate patterns hitting them, testing brainwaves. Just huge facilities, just full of monkeys with the tops of their skulls cut off with wires wired in. I mean, all on how to savagely take control of your mind. And you now go into stores, you talk to people, they are under like an Arrested Development. The program they've been downloaded with is like a happy, goofy kind of Sesame Street for teenagers or adults. And then this morning, I'm going to go to Watson here in a moment, I was doing more research on Coney 2012 just because it's a modern Pentagon globalist psyop for war, and it's adults talking to adults, college students and high schoolers, going, hi, ooh, friendly, nicey, literally hopping around going, have a screening in your area, it's not threatening, call, it's nice, it's fun. All these pink colors, green colors, happy, talking to people like they're 5-year-olds, or really 3-year-olds. And that's what the New World Order, NPR voice, all of it is. And to watch these government operatives with a sinister gleam in their eye, they can't hide that because my subconscious supercomputer's on. I'm like seeing every bit of it. I'm like, wow, man, they know it. It's a giant army of technicians. And then I see the results. But here's what's happening. 9 out of 10 reactors worldwide, 400 plus, are leaking radiation. Government just raises the level of radiation, what they say safe. Everything's starting to fall apart. Corruption's going wild. The globalists have gone crazy. They've been drinking the Kool-Aid as well. And I'm here to tell you, society is going to go completely insane. Undoubtedly, wars have already begun. Proxy wars in Iran have begun like we said they would, and it's now admitted. Proxy wars in Libya, Syria, Uganda, mass murder. I mean, it's admitted the UN is just murdering people in mass, but it doesn't matter. They have guys in pink and green, trendy plaid shirts dancing around saying it's loving. And so you talk to the public and they giggle back at you with this self-satisfied look. The program, the conditioning they've been given is similar to of a 3-year-old is throwing a fit, and you go, if it's a girl, you're a princess, let's dress up like a princess. They go, princess. It's that make-believe thing that's normal for small children to develop different roles in their mind, but for adults. So it's literally a child program that they're running in adults out there, and the cops are following a tough guy program, and they're all about following programming, and I'm seeing it. And now the programming, the public is in such a sleep state, they are walking out in front of traffic. Their bikes are driving out. People are texting while driving. I'm going to talk to Watson about this when we get back, but I'm telling you, something big's about to happen.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
When you're out on the road, the last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They sew pride in every stitch, guarantee you love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond gusset jeans, made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond gusset jeans got it, others don't.
A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even though I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now, new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365. The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around. What do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. And I would add, still others, even upon learning the truth, will decide through fear to try to join with the system. Those are the people that are willfully ignorant. I can't tell you how many media executives, how many people, when I tell them I don't want to be part of their system, they cannot believe it. I remember last year, New York Magazine had a quote by a Fox News executive saying, Alex Jones wants to be on Fox, but we don't want Alex Jones. It implied I'd tried to get on Fox News. You know what? I just told Fox that I don't want to be part of Fox TV shows. You've heard Mancow on air say that, he wanted me and Breitbart to be on a show with him, and he's going to have his show. And, I've said that I'm certainly not going to fly there and be part of it. I could go on a show and say whatever I want if it was live off satellite, but it's like I'm not seeking after that. I'm not going to make a break with the system by being part of it. I'm tempted to quit this radio show and TV and everything and do one video a week just breaking down the Matrix, because that's all that matters now. Covering little side issues, a little piece here, a little piece there, that isn't what matters. Let me explain something. Pediatric cancer from the 1940s is up over 20,000%. Go look up those rates. 20,000%. Your average cancer is up by 2,000% since the late 40s, early 50s. Go look it up. Breast cancer in the United States is exploding thousands of percentile and is the worst in the world. And then I have all the documents where they said they would do this to us. They are killing us. They're killing our women. And let me tell you something. I can't be around network TV executives in their suits and prancing around trying to show off. It makes me want to throw up. I see police now pulling over and searching people's cars. I want to pull over and laugh at them. Oh, you're going to search somebody's cars for drugs when it's on record the criminals that run this government ship the drugs in. Rare cancers are exploding. Things that were once rare are now extremely common. None of this window dressing matters. Do you get it? None of it matters. None of it. We have a scientific elite that decided to have a total takeover of the entire biosphere of the planet and to wreck it, in their own words, so that they could patent it all. And when you can't have children because of the heavy metals and the GMO and all the manipulation, they say in the 30s that you would have to come to them to get genetic repair so that you could have children. But then when you do that, they're going to go in and alter it to make sure you're not aggressive or bad or removing traits that they say are a problem. Now, expanding on all of this, there's a 3,000-year-old symbol for medicine, and it's two snakes intertwined with a staff in the middle. They were writing about atomic bombs in 1900, H.G. Wells and others. They were writing about DNA in the 20s, decades before it was discovered. There is an advanced technological civilization in the laboratory, that is beta tested and then rolled out to the public. I don't know how advanced the enemy is, but in general terms, they're 30 years advanced. And you think of 30 years advanced, that means AI computers. I know in the late 70s, they already had robot drones with DU Shabo meteor guns. I have that from the former director of Star Wars on this show, Dr. Bob Bowman, Colonel Bowman. Imagine what else is out there. They had space planes ready to decapitate all world leaders in 1 hour in the late 1970s. The only hope we've got is realizing that we are in a false reality. That's the only hope we've got. I am thrilled when I reach millions of people every day, but I'm also disgusted when I realize I have this giant platform that's growing and I'm not imparting the true knowledge properly to people. And the answer to this is those of you that have good minds as well, you need to really get bold and speak out, because I'm going to tell you, this is all accelerating. Technology is now doubling every year, not every 2 years. Soon it's going to be every month, then every week, then every day, then every hour, then every minute. The globalists have shown themselves, even with advanced technology, they're still just humans, and they're wicked, which means they have blind spots for empathy and understanding. Because being able to carry something out doesn't mean you have wisdom. They have computers supposedly thinking 100 steps ahead for them. And they have idiot savants that do that as well. But I don't think they're integrating all that data. And I know from the evidence I've seen, they're endangering themselves. No amount of underground bases, no amount of off-world space stations, no amount of high-tech garbage is going to protect you guys from what you've turned loose. You are collectively crazy. I have accessed my common sense, my ancestral genetic memories. I have accessed the full spectrum data analysis. Anybody can do this under deep study and focus. And let me tell you something. I guarantee you they're leading us towards the destruction of all life on this planet. We don't have long until mechanisms are triggered in this downward spiral that are going to lead to things that if God doesn't intervene, no flesh would be left alive. The Bible says the elites will run to the mountains, under the mountains and the caves, and beg the rocks to fall on their heads. Revelation says they traffic in the souls of men. I never knew what that meant till I researched the globalists. They do. That's what they're into. They love screwing people up. They love giving people false data. They love seeing people under literal spells. That's what it is. It's a scientific spell. When Coney 2012 has these promo videos where they're going, hi, we're your friends, oh, loving, ooh, ooh. And it's real, getting into being silly and foolish. And we're going to have a war to save the children. And that's going to be mass war and death with a bunch of weird potbellies dancing around going, ooh, ooh. And you're like, well, that's stupid. Why do they do that? No, it's like, it's been scientifically figured out that's how you destroy people. I'm going to play this later. Paul Watson's been holding for like 30 minutes. I just wanted to get him on and talk to him. And by the end of the show, he's got this article coming out that he's not even going to get to yet. But, I mean, when you've read thousands of these documents, no kidding, over the last 17 years, where there's hundreds of them about how they're going to kill everybody once the world government's in place, how they're putting the poison in the water, the lithium, the Prozacs, variants, how the public's mesmerized, how DARPA and CIA run Google. And I just hope all of you people out there who are running this system, I hope you enjoy yourselves. Because you're not just going to destroy the general public. You are guaranteed to destroy yourselves, 100%. And we need to turn back now. This needs to stop right now. Now, I'm going to go to Watson. You had to be there. And I called Watson about this. I leave my house out in the country. I'm driving in towards 290. And on a road where people drive between 55 and 70, depending on which area of the road it is, different speed limits, people began slamming on their brakes in the middle of the highway to then turn across the medians, almost crashing into traffic, not once, not twice, but 3 times in a space of about 6 miles. I would then notice with my eagle eyes that I still think, God, I used to have 2015 vision. It's 2020 now. God, as I lose my vision, it's terrible. I was able to notice each time they were all on cell phones. They had cell phones in front of them while driving like psychomaniacs. I called Watson and I said, these people are in a trance. We need to do more articles on the study showing the public in a trance. These new neural interface TV programs and 3D and all the stuff they're getting us ready for. In fact, I have some of the articles here that I had the guys print how the new video games are going to interface with the human brain. In fact, I just had them here in my stack, but I guess more stuff's been brought in, so I don't have it in front of me. And the point is that I'm driving, and I call Watson, and I tell him about this, and he says, no, I'm seeing it too. By the way, everybody in the office is saying they see it. You know, they go in shops, everybody's like in zombie mode, people can't even talk. They all have this little giggling, burbling, like 3-year-old thing, because they're in an imaginary world. That's what a trance is, a spell. That's just an ancient term for a scientific manipulation, a mind game, hypnotizing somebody. There it is. Sony patents techniques of beaming info into brain, not just audio. That's Reuters. course, that was 5 years ago. It's now been implemented. And so each little upgrade of the computers gets you deeper into the control system until you just become, quote, a wirehead that Philip K. Dick wrote about 30 years ago, where they just wire you in, and there's so much pleasure from being wired in. And the elites wrote 70, 80 years ago about having surrogates, biological androids that they have a computer connection to that actually go out, and then the globalists live in their little tanks. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is what they're trying to set up. This is what these loons, geniuses as they are, and they envisioned this 100 years ago and are bringing it to fruition. And they're willing to wreck the biosphere, wreck every plant and animal species, human DNA, so that you've got to go to them to be able to have children. They want to play God. And I'm driving, and right as I get on 290, it's before they have the medium there, before it rises up. It's 3-lane. You know, there's routinely bicyclers that just come right out in 70-mile-an-hour traffic now. Pedestrians, I see them just walking out. People are getting killed everywhere. They're in trances. They don't have regular self-preservation mechanism. The globalists have turned it off electronically and chemically, psychologically and spiritually. It all ties together. I see this woman driving a dark gold, kind of bronze, those little hybrid cars. I think it's one of the Fords. The police listing will know because she had the wreck. And she shot in the other lane of traffic. People stopped. I pulled over for a minute but went on because aid was rendered. And I need to get to the office. But the point is, I'm driving, just hang up with Watson. And I'm trying to keep back because everybody's driving like psychos. And I see this woman erratically coming out of the slow lane into the middle lane, and cars getting back. And I go, I bet she's texting. I want to be able to tell people if she, because I just saw 3 cars slam on their brakes, and I saw that 2 of them were texting. When they get in the median, they pull over and still be, slamming their brake. I mean, ready to die, ready to have their backs broken. Just no connection to reality. Just like the shrimp that end up getting on Prozac from runoff that swim up to the fish to be eaten, or to the birds, just right up to birds to be eaten. They just don't care. Bet money she was on some type of Prozac. And she starts going like this, so I pull up to see, just like I saw about a year ago driving into Port Aransas to take my kids fishing. I saw a giant gas truck, natural gas, in 2 lanes driving like a maniac, like he'd had 18 gallons of Jack Daniels. And I pulled up, and sure enough, he was watching a video with it in front of him. That's how addicted they are. He's driving with a full load, so I could see the axles down, of natural gas. It's a natural gas truck, and he's got it in front of him, and he's all out of the lanes. Now, again, that's how mesmerized they are by the computer screen and by TV. So this guy, we're going to Watson, was doing that. This woman, I pull up, there she is, looking and texting, and with one arm going like this, going 70 miles an hour, getting up onto 290. And I back off to observe. I'm about to take my camera up, even though that's not really safe, but I'm conscious in driving, and show some video to, and she goes, boom, cutting across 3 lanes straight. And as I see her right in front of me, still looking at the screen in zombie land, in a mesmerized, sleepwalking state, shooting across the grass median, because she'd been dead, going 70 if she'd have hit dividers that were just 100 yards up as you go up, shooting in front of 2 concrete trucks, spinning around, and then gently slamming up against the wall, and then cars stopped to help her. She had already turned in front of 3 lanes of traffic. They have so no wonder they don't care there's about to be a war with Iran. Of course they tell the military, go ahead and use DU even though it's going to kill them. Of course they raise the level of radiation thousands of times and say it's safe. Of course. I mean, this is a public being murdered by chemical and biological weapons, total tyranny, way of life being destroyed, everything falling apart. Troops are going crazy, going into villages and killing 16 people in their houses for fun. We are a nation in a coma. We are under mind control. And you're going to start seeing more of it. I'm predicting now, you're going to see more pedestrians walking out in front of cars and walking off cliffs, and more people wrecking everywhere, because the public is going to go completely into Zombieville. I predict you're going to start seeing people not going to work and just staying in their houses. They're already wireheads. They're already plugged in. Watson, I know you're working on the article while you sit there on Skype waiting, but did I call you this morning and say that cars were slamming on their brakes and driving like psychopaths everywhere?
That's right, Alex. And I mean, there was another one recently, wasn't there? There was a surveillance camera footage above a train platform, and a woman lets go of a baby stroller and it rolls across the platform towards the tracks, and then there's a guy walking past looking at his cell phone. He looks up at the baby stroller but just lets it roll past him onto the tracks, and they managed to save the baby by about 10 seconds before it got hit by a train. So you see those kind of stories nearly every day now with this zombified population.
And we're not using zombified as a term. Folks, the brainwaves, Paul, I want to go big on this. I want to get all the data together that we've covered over the years and really show people scientifically, to the scientific elite that isn't totally controlled, and say, is this really what you want? Because so they can control us, they've zombified the public. Because they've got to turn it up high enough to like really control those that would be resisting them. So only the very few can break through the programming. But by doing that, I mean, it is just... Stay there. We're going to talk about it when we come back. You don't need me to tell you that humanity is in a deep crisis. Everyone can feel it. We know a tectonic struggle is now taking place between the forces of freedom and those who love darkness, bondage, and enslavement. Yes, my friends, evil is rising. But take heart, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Recently, New World Order operative Hillary Clinton admitted they're losing the info war.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
The globalists are scared. They've overreached. The future of the info war is in your hands. Join PrisonPlanet.tv. Download the thousands of special video reports, ebooks, and more, and get them out to everyone you know. Continue to spread the word about the broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and every other globalist propaganda platform. We are going to use their system against them. The info war now goes into high gear.
What is the most abundant resource on Earth? Water. It's essential for sustaining life, but it's not always the most available. When disaster strikes, water quickly vanishes from store shelves, like it did during 9/11, Katrina, Japan, and in Joplin. 3 days without water and your body begins to shut down. Don't risk being without an abundant supply of water when the next disaster hits. Get a FlowJack hand well pump. The affordable FlowJack drops right into almost any well and is easy to install without having to remove the existing pump, giving you immediate access to plenty of cool, clean water. You could risk your family's health on a limited supply of stored water, or you could be prepared with the reliable, affordable FlowJack backup hand pump kit, delivered to your door for only $3.99 complete. See how it works at FlowJack.com, spelled FLOJAK.com. Be sure to spell FLOJAK.com or call 855-4FLOJack. That's 855-435-6525. Proudly made in America. FlowJack hand well pumps. Peace of mind in a box.
Hi, I'm Mark Craighead, founder of Crossbreed Holsters. I designed our top-selling holster, the Super Tuck Deluxe, to solve the problems of being poked, pinched, and gouged while carrying concealed. The Super Tuck Deluxe is the most comfortable, most concealable holster on the market today. We offer a 2-week free trial and a lifetime warranty.
Visit us at crossbreedholsters.com. Don't forget, crossbreedholsters.com. In a coming-apart world, you need something to keep it tied together. That something is Atwood Rope, the highest quality rope made in the USA, from exotic braids for military, rescue, arborists, shipyards, tow line, or boating. Quality rope at affordable prices you and your customers can depend on. Find a dealer or shop online at atwoodrope.net. Enter promo code RADIO to receive 100 feet of 550 paracord free with purchase. Atwood Rope, working to keep the world tied together.
Rusted chains of prison moons are shattered by the sun. I walk a road
Paul Watson has gotten his article up, and I know he's going to add some of the news clips where they're promoting lithium in the water. But here's the Atlantic, big establishment liberal publication, How Engineering the Human Body Could Combat Climate Change. And they go on to say the elite want to add chemicals and biologicals to our food and water to make us small little creatures, elfin creatures, to not hurt the earth. And then how they're going to ban eating meat and use operant conditioning to totally control us. And again, I tell you about this stuff 10 years ago that was in all the policy reports. You'd laugh at me. Now it's out in the open. And you are being engineered by the flicker rate, by the TV. I think even with my shows, just because of the nature of it, everybody should pretty much not watch television but listen to it. You definitely need to not watch mainstream television, because that's where it's really full of propaganda, not just with the flicker rate, but the actual message. We need to read more with old-fashioned books. We need to realize we're in a fight for human consciousness more now than ever. Paul, I know that we've said this before, but when I say it's an epiphany, it hit me. This is the battle. This is everything. And this is what the globalists are all about. You brought up people now more and more all over the world seeing a woman bleeding to death, a cop run over by a car, and they're not helping people. That's because the globalists have engineered not resisting tyranny, not resisting threats. I tell the story of the people not helping the woman choking to death. And I had to push him out of the way, and they were just saying, 911, 911, she would have died. I mean, it literally, they've turned people into jellyfish cattle. Paul Watson.
But they've got a solution for us, Alex. It's the pharmacological enhancement of empathy and altruism. They're going to give us drugs which influence our behavior so that we're more environmentally aware, according to this New York bioethicist professor who's come out with this paper.
But it hasn't worked very well because they put sodium fluoride in there and the other things to reduce fertility and dumb us down. I mean, I guess more is needed?
Well, they say that basically the biggest problem is climate change, and to combat climate change, we need, quote, biomedical modifications of humanity. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, this is not going to apply to the elite, just as the Plandopolis vision for the future showed, you know, all the slaves weren't allowed to drive cars, only the rich people were. So it only applies to the serfs, obviously. But they're going to basically inject children with embryos to make them small, like you said in Brave New World at the beginning, where it's all this subclass race of tiny dwarf-like people. But it's for the good of the planet. And so that's why...
By the way, Huxley said that was the plan, and his brother founded UNESCO, which is the policy center for Agenda 21.
But now it's trendy. Apparently it's trendy now, and it's for the planet. So the moral equivalency of that trumps the moral equivalency of genetically engineering babies in labs. Apparently that's trendy now and liberal and touchy-feely, not a scientific dictatorship, according to this professor. So, I mean, yeah, talking about giving people patches or drugs which make them adverse to meat. So, of course, that'll completely collapse a massive part of the economy, but it's for the good of the planet.
But they're not drugging us now, even though they've done Associated Press water studies in all the major cities and find levels of drugs that shouldn't be there, even from runoff, like serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And it's not one particular brand or molecule, it's the general base generic version. They're already drugging your water, ladies and gentlemen.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
So, let's be clear. I've got Fox News, Japanese TV, no exaggeration, hundreds of university, UN, Club of Rome documents saying in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, we're going to drug the water to reduce population, all this stuff. They've been caught doing it. The UN's been caught adding sterilants to vaccines, you name it. And now the Atlantic establishment publication reports it like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, how they're going to force drug you and change your embryos by law under a socialist healthcare system. Death panels are all admitted. They're in the media saying, what's wrong with killing children up to age 3 and old people? And then I see some Coney 2012 promo that they did for having showings of their film about invading Africa and how great the UN is for some just cut-out boogeyman who no one even knows where Africa's at. And they start drooling on there, hopping around like it's Sesame Street, talking to adults like they're 3-year-olds. And then I see adults clicking into the child programming and like getting off on it. Man, I mean, this is hardcore mind control that we're under. And like I said, suddenly there's just wrecks everywhere, people walking out in front of cars, people texting while they're driving. It's one thing to check a text while you're driving. I mean, we're talking about driving, watching videos, driving, just running off the road everywhere, psychopaths. Paul, what is happening to people, man? I mean, how much worse is this going to get?
I think the studies have shown that the internet is literally rewiring people's brains. So if you think about those pus-filled pods that in the Matrix where people are trapped in, that's the equivalent of what we've got today with the ubiquitous nature of wireless internet and text messaging, which is why we get all these stories that you talked about, you know, in the last segment. So we're literally, our brains are being rewired, our attention spans are being reduced. And that's why propaganda is so much more crude and childlike, because that's the most successful form of propaganda, because people don't concentrate, they don't scratch below the surface, they've got tiny attention spans, and that's why they're becoming playthings for the elite.
Well, listen, I want you to come back and cover the article itself, but in the brief time we have here, Paul, I am now watching the propaganda being shown to college students and people, and it's all the same. It's people in Stepford wife, bright colors, with effeminate men literally prancing around saying, I'm non-threatening, there's no work here, we're having fun, let's have a war. And then you can see they're all crazed-eyed operatives. It's so crude, but because they're attacking an unconscious jellyfish population of zombies, they're following them. And for those that of us that are awake, it's cartoonish. I mean, it's like, it's insane. I mean, what are the elites going to do? They're going to run around bathing in radiation and GMO too? I mean, just because they're conscious of this, it makes it okay?
I don't know, it's amazing, but I mean, the Coney 2012 thing, if you look into that business, because that's what it is, it's
Bill Gates.
Business, 80% or more of the money that comes in goes directly to their expenses. It's worse than something like the Red Cross. I mean, hardly any of the money actually goes to people suffering in Uganda. And then
well, that's why they chose a guy that's probably been dead for 5-6 years. It's just totally made up.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's people on YouTube, Ugandan citizens, who are saying, what are you talking about? Nobody even talks about this guy in Uganda anymore. He's not been in the country for 6 years. He's probably dead. And our main problem now is, you know, AIDS, poverty, all this
But then literally people are attacking us who have trendy hair and bandanas, saying we're horrible for not wanting to get Coney, and they're literally in trendy outfits.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like an army of zombie trendies.
Saving the children by clicking like on Twitter or Facebook. That's what you threaten when you point out the hoax. They don't like it.
And then meanwhile, Angelina Jolie, who admittedly is into the occult and worships death and all this, is running around worshiping all these wars. And I mean, she's a war criminal. People are like, why is she a war criminal? Oh, man, we're in trouble, folks.
Folks, Iran and the Mideast nuclear mess is already ballooning our gas prices. Whether you're struggling with food costs, which are being blown up by gas costs now, or know that when the Mideast showdown explodes, whatever food supply you have is all you'll get because of huge panic demand, eFoods Direct Family Packs are the answer. Now, the most affordable best food is saving you up to 50% compared to other poor quality food companies. The new Alex Jones Quick Fix Family Packs save you so much money, the savings from eating this food will actually help you pay your other bills. No matter what effect the Mideast crisis or the crashing economy have, you'll have food as delicious tonight as 25 years from now. Order now for 50% savings and free shipping on these affordable family packs. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even if I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
I made the discovery about 14, 15 years ago that the whole world government was not based on money or even power, but on a final revolution to set up planetary government, cut off resources, have resource wars, and then exterminate the majority of the population. Mid-level minions are told 80 to 90% are going to be killed. Top globalist documents we've read on air say 99.9% of all humans will be exterminated. Then the 0.1% will merge with machines and populate the known universe. Now, I'm not saying any of that's real, but that's what all of the elites, from Ray Kurzweil right through the UN officials, all are obsessed with. And they write cover stories in Wired magazine like Why the Future Doesn't Need Us, with Bill Joy, who I've talked about 500 times or more, saying, I went to an elite meeting of 200 top internet company and software company and technology company owners, and all we talked about was, do we kill everybody? Or do we let everybody just play games and, you know, basically get mesmerized by entertainment and just keep breeding? Or do we just reduce population? What do we do? And the consensus is kill everybody. I mean, that's what's frustrating. This is all public. And I take it real personal. People around me are dead and dying of cancer, and I know those numbers are off the charts, thousands of percentile points. I take it real personal when I know that they're attacking children and that pediatric cancer, once unknown, is now epidemic. I take it real personal when I find out that they, for at least 50 years, have been adding chemicals to our food and water. I take it real personal, and here's the big epiphany that I want to get to for people out there, okay? Here's the point that I really want to get across to folks, and it's this. The public is becoming more and more unconscious. The brain waves are lowering into a sleep state across the board. That's not debated. All the technologies being rolled out are admittedly virtual false reality systems that program your brain and interface and project sound into your middle ear and interface directly with your neurons outside of the eyeballs, which themselves are brain stalks. You want to? They say the eye is the window of the soul. The eyes, during embryonic development, grow out of the brain. The eyes are brain tissue. It's brain sensors, sight sensors. The nose, olfactory, direct connection to the brain. Direct nerve into the brain. Taste, same deal. Touch, nerves, all going back into your brain. They're programming you. That's like a wireless connection when you're watching television. And very wicked, hateful people are in control. Now, I'm going to integrate the epiphany here and then go to your calls. I know that and we've already seen this, you're going to see more automobile accidents. You're going to see more texting accidents, bike riders running into people, until by law, everything is going to be robotically controlled with the DARPA-run Google cars that are already being legalized nationwide and worldwide. The genetics are going to be so damaged, you're going to have to go to the elites to be able to get government authorization to have children, and then they're going to go in and change the embryo to be more subservient to the system. By the way, I told you that over a decade ago. They're now announcing it in the news, that that's what they're going to do with infertility. That's engineered. Same thing with the GMO of the crops. It is a diabolical plan beyond any science fiction you could ever imagine, and it's happening. You're about to see humanity, the family, everything completely degenerate. And then you're going to see fleets of robot drones and ground combat robots. Well, you're going to see bureaucrat bots. They already admit the drones, robot drones, are scanning the farms, not allowed to build a barn, not allowed to dig a pond, not allowed to harvest your crops, not allowed to have dust. They're going to have robot trucks. Already all the postal service systems are having robot systems put on them that snoop for dust and stuff around your farm. Bureaucrats everywhere. Automated systems of tattling. Because you see, they have to get rid of due process. Because when you get rid of due process, you can automate everything. Due process, the courts, as corrupt as they are going to hold up all this. Red light cameras violate the law. It's not a sworn officer giving you the citation. There's not a court hearing. It's a fraud. They don't care. I was reading where one Illinois town is going to get thousands of red light cameras. I'm reading where all schools now, the feds are saying, have to get cameras in them because there's an epidemic of teachers raping children. You see, the teachers that are pedophiles can't even control themselves now. People that are bike riders don't even care. They just come out into 70-mile-an-hour traffic having no idea that they could be killed because they're cut off from reality. People have had their survival mechanism neutralized. And so the military is going to launch wars they can't win. The elite are going crazy. I mean, I've seen statistics of Rockefeller and Rothschild kids, the suicides, the death. I mean, it's all cursed. It's all just going to Hades. You're going to see total disintegration. I mean, I know it now. It is just going to get crazier and wilder and nuttier. Paul Watson, you got the floor till we go to break. I got you on here to cover the article. Bioethicist professor drugged the population into accepting green world order. That's at Infowars.com. 3 weeks ago, you posted the article where they openly, in prestigious bioethics journal, are calling for killing old people and babies up to age 3. The government will decide. People thought that we made that up, even though there were links to the prestigious journal. This is in the Atlantic. How engineering the human body could combat climate change. Tell folks about this article and what you think about the point I'm announcing here today.
Well, basically, this Atlantic piece announces the fact that they want to chemically castrate free will. But they say, don't worry, it'll be voluntary and not coercive. Just like not vaccinating your children is voluntary. But as we know, if you don't vaccinate your children, the state, the medical establishment harasses you. People are being refused treatment, CPS sent to people's houses if they refuse to vaccinate their children. So they say, oh, yeah, it'd be voluntary, but you know, if you opt out of it, you'll be harassed to the end of your days. So they talk about making people averse to meat. They talk about, by giving them drugs, they talk about pharmacologically enhancing empathy, so people will donate to specific charities. Of course, if you follow that to its logical conclusion, that means you can manipulate them to do anything through drugs. They talk about injecting babies with embryos to make them grow smaller. Basically, they're saying, we're going to give you a choice. It's not the one-child policy. It's a more flexible version of that. You can either have one normal child, 3 enhanced, as in made smaller, tiny children, or 2 medium-sized children. So they're basically creating the framework where you have to choose one of these options. As you said, it's, you know, it's the state coming in and deciding how you give birth, what kind of children you give birth to. It's the one-child policy. And as we've documented before, you know, lithium in the water supply has been promulgated through the media. Of course, Obama's White House science czar, John P. Holdren, has advocated sterilizing people forcibly to reduce global population, again, in the name of saving the planet. Back then, it was against, you know, the coming ice age that would destroy the Earth. Now that's flipped over to global warming, and now it's flipped over again to overpopulation, which is a complete myth. So again, it's the scientific dictatorship wrapped in this trendy, liberal, touchy-feely package and sold as technological progress and advancement, when in fact it's the very essence of authoritarian, plandopolis society, a technocratic elite dictating to us how we live our lives, whereas they're completely exempt from.
Well, there's another article where Al Gore calls for a global nerd spring to force carbon taxes and all this, and that's what it is. It's like this new culture of being trendy is being stupid, giggling, arrested development, weak, unmanly, and giggling and wearing pink and green, you know, real trendy colors, and prancing around and then supporting wars and feeling powerful. And Al Gore actually is saying this now. It's like armies of willfully pathetic, dumb chumps.
Well, it's proven more successful, hasn't it? Getting an army of Twitterers and Facebook people behind a war. I mean, it worked with Libya when the left spent months and months wailing about we need a no-fly zone over Libya. Overnight, it turned into a bombardment. Now we've got the left again pushing for a war on Syria through these fake propaganda activists that are out in the media. And again, with this Coney 2012 thing, you know, same deal again. So it's proven more successful than just, you know, pulling off a false flag or preemptive warfare. The modern form of warfare is this fake colour revolution style that Obama and the people who pull his strings have perfected.
Well, you're right, Paul, and yeah, that's why I said arrest Angelina Jolie, and like 5% of people, it's got like 95, 98% likes on these videos. They're like, are you kidding? You know, it's just her idea. Well, Joseph Goebbels was putting out ideas. She is an official UN envoy everywhere, pushing for the Libya attack, Syria, Uganda, you know, arrest Coney, invade. She knows what she's doing. And, you know, it's time to call their bluff. The UN is Murder Incorporated, involved in every evil you can imagine, including extermination in Uganda. And I'm sick of some chicken neck, nobody, ugly scumbag, piece of trash, drughead garbage up there telling me how great war is. I'm calling her out. I'm calling the emperor has no clothes, Paul.
And the evidence is that it's starting to work, because there's been a massive backlash. The Coney frauds have been forced to disable the comments on their YouTube channel. They've been forced to put out this video clarifying the fact that people have found out they're a business empire that spends 80+% of the income on their own travel expenses and staff, like Red Cross and these other fake charities. So, I mean, they're now on the run, and the backlash is very much in evident with this Coney 2012 fraud. So that proves again that we can hijack their platforms and throw them back in their face.
I agree. Good job, Paul. They are globalists, crime syndicate, empire-pushing trash posing as liberal trendies. Hello, I'm Alex Jones. Myself, my family, the Infowars.com team want to relay to you and your families that we are intensifying our efforts against the globalist on every front. Infowars.com is leading the fight against the technocrats. But we can't do that without your help. By getting the films, bumper stickers, and T-shirts at Infowars.com, you will wake up people in your area and support our operation as we move to the next level. We need your help to spread the word like never before. They wish to hide themselves during this tectonic battle between the forces of freedom and darkness. You are the response to the globalist technocrats and their program of global eugenics, dehumanization, and ultimate extermination. The war is here. It's an info war. The spirit of 1776 versus the mindset of 1984.
Are you having trouble paying your mortgage? Maybe your mortgage loan is upside down or in foreclosure. Maybe the bank already foreclosed on you. Don't sit around being a victim of bank fraud. Fight back. We have the tools to help you fight back. Here's how. Go to inspectoraudit.com and click on the GCN radio special. Order a summary audit. Find the real truth about your loan.
Maybe like me, you'll find your bank loan was paid off already. Maybe, like me, you'll find your bank defrauded you at the closing. And maybe, like me, you will go after them.
Did you know 78% of home loans in the last 10 years violated consumer credit laws? We should not let the banks get away with this fraud. Go to inspectoraudit.com and click on the GCN radio special. Order a summary audit today and find the truth about your mortgage loan. That's inspectoraudit.com or call 855-373-4948. That's 1-855-373-4948.
Do you know which 37 crucial food items are going to fly off the shelves when the next disaster hits? If you don't, you and your family may be without food and waiting in long food lines after a big disaster strikes. You would be surprised how many people don't have these food items right now. 123survivalplan.com has set up a For Patriots Only video with inside information on the 37 food items that will sell out first when the next disaster strikes. The video on 123survivalplan.com has crucial information you and your family need to prepare for any disaster, natural or man-made. And you won't have to be afraid of going hungry or being sent to a FEMA refugee camp. See the video that over 1 million other smart patriots have already seen in the last 4 months. Prepared now. Go to 123survivalplan.com and learn which 37 food items you should hoard. Easy to remember. 123survivalplan.com. Again, that's 123survivalplan.com.
That's what it sounds like when a burglar kicks in the door of a dark house that looks like no one is home. Don't let your home be the next target. Make it look like someone is home watching television with Fake TV. Fake TV is a small electronic device that makes the same light as a real television. So from outside, it looks like someone is home watching TV. Fake TV plugs in just like a lamp on a timer, but is far more convincing to burglars. Fake TV deters burglars, costs far less than an alarm, and is highly recommended by numerous police departments. Use it anytime you're away from home. To order your Fake TV for only $34.95, go to faketv.com. or call 1-877-5-FAKE-TV. Each additional Fake TV is only $29.95, so get one for you and one for a loved one for safety, security, and peace of mind for both of you. Call 877-5-FAKE-TV or go to faketv.com. faketv.com, the burglar deterrent.
Man thinks cause he rules at us, he can do with it as he pleases.
I'm going to be honest with you here on this 13th day of March 2012 on this Tuesday. I've really studied the global elite, and I've tried to really discover reality, and I would hear people like Greg Palast, I don't know, when I first was interviewing him like 12, 13 years ago say, no, the elite are not in control. They're out of control. It's a bunch of different combines stealing and robbing from each other. And I would disagree with that. I would say, no, there is an organized system. But now I realize it's both. They've got an organized system to rob us, and they sit around their commission tables, like in The Godfather, literally deciding on different things they're going to allow and different scams they're going to run. And they also cheat each other. So they're good at grabbing and stealing and stomping on the little guy and dumbing everybody down. But they're not good at actually controlling themselves. And I mean, a great example of this was 8-9 months ago, radiation levels, different isotopes go off the chart. So the EPA raised one isotope 100 and something thousand times, others a couple thousand times. You can see the whole list. You know, this isotope's raised 2,500 times what they say safe. You know, we're not going to test the milk now. It just shows that the elite are crazy. I mean, and that's even scarier than thinking they're in control. Greg, I want to get into 10 years after Fukushima, or 1 year after Fukushima, 10 years. And I want to get into the Iran war and the economy. But is it just me, or are things going completely insane? I mean, I was covering the last hour and a half or so. Suddenly they admit pedestrian accidents are up. People are walking in front of cars. I saw cars everywhere wrecking this morning while they were texting. The public's disconnected. The elite are disconnected. What's going on, Greg?
Well, actually,
yeah, we cut his interview short.
I think that they know pretty well what they're doing. Yeah, there's always an internal fight between elites, and in fact, and obviously, go ahead. Yeah, there's always a fight between the elites. For example, we see it now between the billionaires behind Obama and the billionaires behind Romney. As we had discussed before, the top billionaires behind Romney are Paul the Vulture Singer, John Paulson, Bill Koch. Behind Barack Obama is Penny Pritzker. And, of course, the banking elite of the major commercial and white shoe banks, investment banks like J.P. Morgan is behind Obama, and Goldman Sachs tends to be on both sides, but mostly on Obama's side. And what you have, in other words, why are guys like Singer and Paulson, who people may not know of? These are vulture investors. These are hedge fund managers. These are multi-billionaires. Paulson made nearly $4 billion in a single year, more than any other American has ever made in history. Maybe anyone has made in history in a single year, basically betting against and pushing the mortgage market over a cliff. There's a fight between these groups, but they agree on some basic principles that one group will get your money or the other group will, but you won't. I mean, I'm laughing, but that's how it is. I mean, but they have very, very different ideas about how the economy should be run. Obviously, the Singer, the Vulture, and his hedge fund boys think it should be run for them, and Obama's billionaires, Pritzker, and guys like Robert Rubin think it should be run for them. There's a conflict because one is older, more established money, and the other is new hot money.
Well, where do you see it all going? Because my gut tells me, and then I can intellectually, geopolitically look at things and tell me stuff's about to get really rocky. If we think the last 4 or 5 years have been crazy, what's coming up in the future? You concur that stuff's about to get really wild?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of the things, actually, I just spoke to a billionaire who said, we're coming to a second collapse because we haven't felt the full force of the commercial real estate market collapse. And that's heading our way again. And so, the question is, can they kite it past the election? And is there an advantage in someone pulling the trigger before or pulling the trigger after the election? So we have another round of, another fecal flow coming our way. Plus, you do have the euro, which is, if you read in my latest book, Vulture's Picnic, the euro was created with the intent of destroying the European economies as we know them. It really was. I spoke to the guy who invented the euro, Bob Mundell, got the Nobel Prize for it. I had long conversations with him. He's thrilled about it. The destruction was part of it. What they thought was creative destruction. But the question is that the destruction doesn't just stay over there. You can wreck Europe, and what happens over here?
Well, I remember you breaking all this down in 2002, and then they all day criticize people that are on welfare, but then the mega banks hold us hostage but too big to fail. That's all part of their plan. Will they be successful? We'll talk about that and a lot more straight ahead with Greg Palast, and I'm going to open the phones up as well.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com.
You've heard Alex explain how the Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced colloidal silver solutions, yet many are unaware of the entire function of the Silver Lungs system and how it has been designed to deliver your silver solutions anywhere in or on the body. My name is Mario Cifaldi, and I'm the developer of the Silver Lungs generator. Not only does the Silver Lungs system produce endless colloidal and ionic silver solutions, it also comes equipped with the proper applicators and devices needed to deliver your silver solutions directly to key target areas. This includes the eyes, ears, nose, lungs, topically to the skin, and orally for the digestive system. Be sure to watch our new 7-minute video tour of the Silver Lungs system at www.silverlungs.com to learn more about how the Silver Lung system works. As well, we are always ready to answer any questions you may have. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Folks, Iran and the Mideast nuclear mess is already ballooning our gas prices. Whether you're struggling with food costs, which are being blown up by gas costs now, or know that when the Mideast showdown explodes, whatever food supply you have is all you'll get because of huge panic demand, eFoods Direct Family Packs are the answer. Now, the most affordable best food is saving you up to 50% compared to other poor quality food companies. The new Alex Jones Quick Fix Family Packs save you so much money, the savings from eating this food will actually help you pay your other bills. No matter what effect the Mideast crisis or the crashing economy have, you'll have food as delicious tonight as 25 years from now. Order now for 50% savings and free shipping on these affordable family packs. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
We now take you live
To the Central Texas Command Center.
in the heart of the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
I want to talk to Greg Palast, BBC investigative journalist, best-selling author. The toll-free number to join us on this live Tuesday, 13th of March is 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Greg, I wanted to ask you a question because, you know, I've tracked this Coney 2012 thing that's got connections to the State Department and to the UN and Bill Gates and the rest of them. And, it's got hundreds of millions of views online, raised huge amounts of money, and it says, let's invade Uganda to go after Coney. I'm not saying Coney's a good guy, but nobody's seen him in 5-6 years, and Ugandans are all making videos saying, this guy isn't the issue here. Our own government's killing us. As you know, you've been to Africa and that area many times. And then I made the point when Angelina Jolie called for Comey's arrest and an invasion. You know, I'm sick of her. She's an official UN envoy, not just a spokeswoman. And, you know, when she's not doing Kabbalah rituals or talking about how much she loves death cults, she's doing photo ops with children, giving them food and stuff when I see the UN engaged in crimes against people everywhere. She's calling for the Libya war, went over there in Tunisia to cheer for it and praise the al-Qaeda forces. She's praising proxy wars in Syria. And I know you've dealt with Assad. We're not saying he's a good guy. She's praising wars all over the place. She's clearly, it's this left cover for war. It's one thing when Bush launches wars. It's disgusting, war crime, guaranteed. But now with Obama, he's launching wars without congressional approval. He's getting the Peace Prize. I mean, it's clear this is part of a left cover operation where I see all these trendies and hippies running around calling for all these global proxy wars, which aren't about, and from my research, helping people. It's all about taking over. Now, I know you've been to Africa over and over. You're one of the main people who's really investigated this. And you know the score, probably anybody that I know, but 95% or more of the comments were positive. The likes were like 98%. But it got a lot of attention, you know, millions of views total. Scores of newspapers picked up my arrest Angelina Jolie for war crimes. And what I said in the video is, hey, Angelina, if you're saying arrest Coney and legitimize the ICC, then by that yardstick, what happened in NATO is a war crime. And I've had Colonel Schaefer and many others on who worked at those highest levels of deciding what's a war crime and not. I've had congressional experts on. I mean, clearly, it was an illegal war against Libya. The Syria thing with proxies is classically destabilization and an offensive war. All of this is going on, and it's this new left cover. What's your view on that?
Well, Coney's an interesting, this Coney 2012 business is very interesting because, you know, obviously Coney is a warlord. I've investigated many of these guys. He's one of dozens, by the way. And obviously he's a killer. He goes into villages and grabs kids and says, if you don't kill your parents and join our army, we'll kill you, or we'll kill your parents, and then they do anyway. Yeah, he's a madman, a killer, a maniac, and you know, you want to hang him up high? I have no problem with that. The question is, what is this telling us? What is Coney 2012 telling us? It's telling us first, yes, send in troops, and we don't even know, people in America don't even know where the hell that is that we're sending them, okay? And by the way, Obama, well before this video, had sent in 100 commandos already, and that's what we know of, and how many mercenaries we don't know. Obviously, we've had some real problems in that area which go way beyond Mr. Coney, and a lot of killing which he's not involved in. Again, no sympathy for that guy. But let's look at the distraction. You know, when the magician is letting the cute girl in the miniskirt or the tights run around, in this case Angelina Jolie, what is being covered? What aren't you supposed to be looking at behind the curtain? And that's the question I have. There are an awful lot of warlords in Africa who've been backed by people like Jimmy Carter, who supported the maniac Charles Taylor, who is right now in prison in The Hague for war crimes. He was a creation of Jimmy Carter. And we also had, and who is making money off these things? Who's making money off the mayhem in the Congo? Who made money off the mayhem in Liberia? Again, let's go back to those elites we were talking about. When I was just in the Congo, and I was just in Liberia. And I can tell you that there are people making money off this mayhem. You don't just pull AK-47s and mortars out of trees. These are really remote areas. Someone is sending that in. Who's doing this? Well, who's benefiting? And again, we go back to people like Paul the Vulture Singer, who holds the debt, who, when there's civil war and there's madness, these guys grab the resources for next to nothing. Paul Singer has been grabbing the oil resources and cobalt, and his vulture friends, these hedge fund managers behind Romney, have been grabbing the resources of the Congo in the middle of all this mayhem. They're grabbing the resources of Uganda in the middle of this mayhem. And they have, you know, they're trying to seize Liberia in the middle of this mayhem. They're making money off it. People are making billions off this mayhem. And that's why this is happening. If Angelina Jolie wants to, put on her pearls and run off into the jungle and grab Coney, God bless her. But, the other thing is, I would much rather see these people grab people like Singer the Vulture in New York and in Vail, Colorado, where he has a nice ski place. I'd like to see them, all these guys behind Restore Our Future, the Romney Super PAC.
Well, that's my point. Let me just throw this caveat in here. Look, this guy hadn't been seen in years. He's a minor little nobody warlord up in the northern area in Uganda, probably isn't even there. And it all comes out at a time when they want to escalate activities there. The installed leader of 26 years of Uganda is connected to all this destabilization and mass death that's happened. And it's just all part of like celebrating UN intervention and The Hague when the UN itself has got one of the nastiest histories I've ever seen. But they have diplomatic immunity, which they pull out of the sky. So that's my point, is that when you see the entire establishment media pushing something, it stinks to high heaven. And I mean, what's your view on the Libya war? I mean, it clearly was illegal. He didn't get authorization from Congress for that.
I really have no opinions on the Libya war, except to say that I was, from Vulture's Picnic of the Book, I was investigating British Petroleum. You have to look at whose interests are being served. First, the same guys that sent in planes to bomb and kill Gaddafi were the guys that were hugging him. Tony Blair, on the day that the United States and Great Britain recognized the killer terrorist government of Gaddafi, the very same day, British Petroleum signed a $2 billion agreement with Gaddafi, to develop oil in the Benghazi eastern sector of Libya. When the rebel army broke out, when the rebellion broke out, and Gaddafi, he was kept inside Tripoli. That meant that the oil fields, which are in the east, were under the control of the rebels. As soon as they got control of the oil fields, suddenly they're our friends. Suddenly they have to be protected. When Gaddafi was just slaughtering people, we didn't do anything about taking him out. I mean, that could have, jeopardized the contracts. But the minute that Gaddafi lost control of the oil fields of the east, he was gone. See, he made a mistake. He was concerned about military control. He should have been keeping his hand on the spigot. He'd be alive today. That's how it works. And that's the sad thing. Again, no one wants to say Gaddafi, we should defend Gaddafi or let him stay there, any of those things. But it's not, unfortunately, it's not about saving lives, because we could have saved lives by going
Sure, he's not
earlier.
being removed to bring peace. They brought Al-Qaeda in. They're wrecking the country. They're putting in hardcore, hardline Islamic regimes. I'm told all day, give my rights up because the extremist Muslims are going to get me. Meanwhile, our governments are constantly giving them the keys to the city. What do you make of the latest developments in Iran? 3 aircraft carriers stacking up right off the coast. There's a big Washington Post full-page ad. Mr. President, say no to war of choice with Iran. And it's got Admiral Mullen in there, and it's got the former head of CENTCOM in there, and it's got Major General Paul Eaton. There's a whole bunch of them signed on there saying it's bad for Israel. You got the former head of Mossad saying don't do it, it'd be suicide. What's your view on Iran, and what's the inside sources you've got on where we are with a new war?
And unfortunately, I don't have enough good sources in Iran. Seymour Hersh was always saying that we're going to bomb, and he's been saying it for years from the inside. The question is...
Well, they've been bombing, actually, though. I mean, there's been a proxy war.
So the question is, who likes to keep the pot stirring? And I think that you have 3 guys running for re-election: Ahmadinejad in Iran, Obama in the United States, Netanyahu in Israel. And these guys need the pot boiling. They're all coming to get us. War. And suddenly, as you well know, war increases popularity for re-election. It's it's the oldest trick in the book. They're coming to get us, and we have to rally around the flag and rally around our president.
War is the health of the state.
Right, and so and plus, keep in mind, every time Ahmadinejad says booga booga booga, we've got centrifuges, the price of oil kicks back up. And I sometimes wonder if Ahmadinejad and Obama and trade phone calls. It's your turn this week to make the threat. You have to look at the oil market, which is what I do. I look at economics. I look at the oil market, and you see these guys jerking it up and down. Someone's having a lot of fun with the oil market there. I can tell you that. You know, whether sometimes these things, the games, the fun and games get out of hand, they actually start bombing, that is, I can't prognosticate. It's way beyond my crystal ball's ability. But I do know that the endless boiling pot is a political bonanza for these guys and is a bonanza for the energy companies, the oil companies. They're grinning. Keep the war going, shut down those fields, make them burn, limit the supply, choke it off, keep oil above $100 a barrel. That's
all right. On your radar screen in the election, Ron Paul is finally coming out in Maine, other areas pointing out there was election fraud against him. We know that goes on. But, I mean, with Mitt Romney or Obama, I mean, they're both the same pedigree, a lot of the same backers, same policies. Both of them are basically Ken dolls that read off teleprompters. I mean, who would somebody vote for with that choice of two evils? I mean, I don't see a lesser of two evils there. But, I mean, Obama, I got to say, I thought he was a total puppet. He really is giving Bush a run for his money with the NDAA and just these federal rulings on free speech and everything. I mean, this is Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I mean, for those who went for the hope and change, you know, and swallowed the whole line from the Pope of Hope, hey, go visit Guantanamo. You know that he was going to close. Remember that? Yeah. So you know, it's look. The one nice thing about being an investigative journalist, work at BBC, I'm not even allowed to make a choice on the election, so I don't. So I'm relieved of that tremendous burden and difficulty. I do know that there's going to be a lot of vote manipulation, that there's a lot in it, and it's not so much stealing votes left Democrat or Republican. I've done a lot of vote theft investigation, and it's about disempowering groups. If you look at the demographics, it's not so much black, white, but working class versus elite voters. Elite voters are pretty much left alone, even if they're Democrats or Republicans. And what we're seeing is things like the tricks. I was just, in fact, writing about it a minute ago, tricks like caging, where they send out letters to you at your registered address. If you're not there, they challenge your vote registration as fraudulent. Well, they were sending, Karl Rove's office was sending letters out to soldiers at their home addresses. Now, they're allowed to vote from Iraq or Afghanistan, but if the letter came back, addressee not there, they lost their right to vote. Or they'd send in their ballots from overseas, and the votes don't get counted because they've been challenged at being, they're not at their home address. You know, this is the type of games that are being played. Well, you're going to see an awful lot of that stuff this year. And again, it's going to be about a kind of class war by proxy, taking away your power to vote.
Well, I agree with you. I want to go to some phone calls here, but I wanted to bring up a separate issue with you. Are you noticing that either people are more awake now or they're getting more into a trance? I mean, a literal trance. I'm seeing people, and I've got a statistic here, it's 5 times more dangerous to text while driving than to drink while driving, but no one seems to care. I saw all sorts of crazy driving in a wreck today with people watching videos or texting. All I know is they had smartphones up to their faces while driving 70 miles an hour. And I think that that's a symptom of a public that's just totally become passive, like spectators. And now they think driving a car is spectator. They think, I mean, I'm really worried about humanity itself, Greg. That's kind of a wild card curveball.
No. This is actually something I've been thinking quite a bit about because I'm in media. You know, to me, always the most dangerous drug addiction in America had been television. And, you know, it takes over your head. You have a suspension of belief. It takes over your senses. Now, it's 24/7. People wake up with those iPhone, with the ear pods in their ears. They're getting the messages straight into their brain. I'm not talking about like some type of Dr. Moriarty in some cave with some dials putting some weird waves and signals in your head. I'm talking about just the damn info junk. The news goo, as my media critic friend Danny Schechter calls it. They're filling your head with junk, with garbage, and you know, from, you know, so that, you know, and that's why you get this repetitive thing, just like television commercials will be repeated over and over again with ear pods in our ears, cable constantly at us. You've got the information coming off the screen all the time, and so you hear Iran. You hear these chants and these mantras. They stop making any sense. You just know that Iran, danger, terrorists, fear. It's a more like endless commercials than it is information, and it's being fed non-stop. So it's subconscious. You're doing something else. You're driving or whatever. We've got like a hypnotized nation. It's like Prozakistan here.
Prozakistan. Did you coin that?
Yeah, I did, and yeah, but that's what it kind of is. I mean, it's like I do look around. It scares me, and maybe especially I must admit I have a 15-year-old daughter who's and I'm wondering what's going on here? It's like zombies, and they're not actually into what they're listening to, which is the interesting thing. They're not really listening on the phone or listening to whatever broadcasts or music is going on. They're only half listening, but they're only half paying attention. There's a kind of Twilight Zone effect that's going on. And I'm worried that in that Twilight Zone effect, it's almost a hypnotic trance. You're subject to this endless subliminal messaging. And it's not like someone's sitting there with a grand plan. Well, let's just zonk everyone and whisper Iran in their ears, or high oil prices are good for you, or radiation makes things taste better and will improve your sex life. It's that the repetition of these concepts in your half-stoned state.
And I agree with you, but the elites are starting to drink the Kool-Aid as well.
You know what? I've watched these guys. I've never seen one with earbuds in their ears. Ever.
Yeah, you're right. They're like in perfectly sharp suits with a bunch of people behind them walking around like cold-blooded reptiles or something. They know what they're doing. We'll be right back with Greg Palast. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Your phone call straight ahead.
Folks, Iran and the Mideast nuclear mess is already ballooning our gas prices. Whether you're struggling with food costs, which are being blown up by gas costs now, or know that when the Mideast showdown explodes, whatever food supply you have is all you'll get because of huge panic demand, eFoods Direct Family Packs are the answer. Now, the most affordable best food is saving you up to 50% compared to other poor quality food companies. The new Alex Jones Quick Fix Family Packs save you so much money, the savings from eating this food will actually help you pay your other bills. No matter what effect the Mideast crisis or the crashing economy have, you'll have food as delicious tonight as 25 years from now. Order now for 50% savings and free shipping on these affordable family packs. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
Would it save you time to get the best quality water filters and the best quality storable foods from one company? You bet it would, and now you can at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. Big Berkey water filter products and great tasting, long-lasting, storable Wise foods are both now available on one website, BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. Wise foods, ready-to-eat meals are packed in airtight nitrogen pouches and come with a 25-year shelf life. Big Berkey water filters are powerful enough to purify treated, untreated, or even stagnant pond water. Combine Berkey water filters with Wise foods for an unbeatable preparedness combination. Get free shipping on every order over $50, and GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit Big, BERKEY waterfilters.com or call 877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY or go to BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com.
2012 is finally here, and while the government racks up another $1 trillion in debt, the IRS is hard at work collecting. In fact, they're even sending agents to some people's homes in place of business. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, or are receiving threatening letters or phone calls, call the tax division of the law offices of Craig Zimmerman at 800-652-6978. Our tax division is spearheaded by a former IRS agent with over 31 1 year's experience. He knows the ins and outs of the IRS and how to get them off your back once and for all. The phone call is free, and so is the consultation. So call now, 800-652-6978. That's 800-652-6978. Don't wait for agents to knock on your door. Call 800-652-6978 or visit us on the web at www.craigzlaw.com. You'll be glad you did.
You know, everybody you talk to marvels that the public is in a mesmerized state. Well, how do we keep people from slipping into that state? How do we do that? Because the world is getting crazier and crazier, and the establishment knows they're dumbing down the media. They know they're distracting the public. What type of world is being built? It's hellish. Let's go to some phone calls in this segment, the next for our guest. Bergen in Wisconsin, you're on the air with Greg Palast. Go ahead.
Hi, it's Bergen, and it's an honor to speak with you again, Greg. I've seen you speak at the Fighting Bob La Follette Festival in Madison and at the Barrymore Theater, and I shamelessly plugged InfoWars on the community access radio WRT when you were on. And I was just wanted to speak to, or have you speak to a cross-paradigm appeal, if you could, because as you well know, Madison, Wisconsin, it's highly, the population is highly intelligent and highly educated, but there is that underlying, Alex calls them pencil necks or whatever, but there is a kind of a snarky, smarmy... Chicken necks academic class filled with semi-informed via disinformation or misinformation population that has the potential to really come together with
yeah, but they buy into a paradigm that because they take a certain orthodoxy that they're really smart and you're not, and they're following clown level narratives just like mainline Republicans are. How do you break through that, Greg Palast?
Information. That's what we're trying to do here. In other words, look, when you have something like Coney 2012, you're speaking directly to people's simplest, heartfelt emotions. And that's good in some ways, but then it leads you to dumb in other ways. In other words, they are really distracting you. And so, you know, I think one thing to do with the sophisticates is to remind them that, you know, if they are susceptible to being duped too, and remind them if they are really smart, they'll ask some questions. Like, you know, like one thing I did when I was in Madison, Wisconsin, is I challenged the great god of the chicken necks, as you would call them, Alex, National Petroleum Radio and the Petroleum Broadcast System, which were absolutely running the oil industry's virtual infomercials after the Deepwater Horizon explosion on their so-called investigative program, Frontline, for example. And I have a section in Vulture's Picnic about this. In PBS ran a program saying, oh, it's all BP's cultural problems. They don't have a culture of safety, like they didn't wear, you know, white gloves at the opera. But this wouldn't happen with a wonderful company like Chevron, which wouldn't do these things. And they'd never mention that Chevron is the official #1 national corporate sponsor of PBS. They basically said, you know, trust Chevron, not those BP guys. And then I went to the jungles of Ecuador and found that, you know, Chevron is poisoning thousands of people. It's really ugly there. There's mass cancers from the junk that they're dropping. And by the way, there's more Chevron destruction, more destruction of the wetlands by Chevron oil in the Gulf than from the BP Deepwater Horizon. But, you know, the petroleum broadcast system isn't going to do that. So they have there's a certain elite agreement. There's a certain agreement that you'll get from the views of the Washington Post and the New York Times and PBS, and they have one viewpoint, and it's simply accepted that that is the given truth, and everyone else is just a schmuck and a bozo and a redneck and a conspiracy nut.
But more and more, they're losing credibility, so the system's openly trying to censor the free exchange of ideas because we're cleaning their clocks. Back in 60 seconds with more of Greg Palast than Jon Rappoport.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We'll continue with your calls when Jon Rappoport, investigative journalist, joins us, and I'll run through a bunch of headlines I haven't gotten to yet. Greg Palast, author of Vulture's Picnic, is our guest, gregpalast.com. Let's jam in a few more phone calls. Brian in North Carolina, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex Jones and Greg Palast.
Hey.
I was wondering, what do you think about the Agenda 21 plan, the UN takeover of the United States?
Okay, I'll get Greg's take on that. These multinational corporations, again, through left cover, getting global zoning passed so they can basically take property, eminent domain, stuff like that, Greg.
Well, I don't know how much it has to do with the UN, but I can tell you the WTO documents that I have, which they're confidential documents. And by the way, I presented them to the Director General of the WTO, Pascal Lamy. And one thing, there's a perk of working at BBC, I can actually get to these critters, to these top guys. And they've got a great program for imposing an international set of laws that overwhelm any laws for protection of health, safety, and property, and any passed by any parliament or Congress, so that these new WTO and financial services agreement, it's at the new elements of the GATS Treaty, General Agreement on Trade and Services, these now are trumping parliamentary and congressional votes. In other words, it's a replacement for democracy. That's what I'm very, very concerned about. But the main mechanism seems to be through the WTO and the IMF and World Bank, which coordinates with it.
Does that answer your question? I guess it does. The caller's gone. Let's go to Steve in Florida. Quick question from Steve. Steve, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon. Hey, Alex, I thought about when you're talking about Angelina Jolie and her being an envoy for the UN, the Pony 2012, and then what we see Obama doing with the NDAA, and last week with the Senate Armed Services Committee, and basically them declaring war on the American people in essence. And I was thinking, there's an event that occurred early on in Obama's presidency that I think ties this whole thing all together and really sent a message that a lot of people overlooked. And I think it's mainly because it really wasn't covered in the so-called media. You were pretty much the only one covering this, and I think you need to highlight this and bring it out again.
Tell us.
And that's about when he simultaneously was president and chaired the UN Security Council.
Yeah, violates Article 1, Section 9. Great points. Greg, in closing, I'm sure you've seen this. Obama told Congress last year and now this year, last week, they had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the SecDef tell them, no, Congress isn't over war now. The UN and NATO give us our orders. Very bizarre. It's one thing if a president power grabs, but what do you make of that?
Well, you know, to me, it's all about, I just follow the money. You know, who's making money from all this stuff? You have a tremendous growing and still growing arms industry. And by the way, within, like, for example, the emergency war bills, we had $8 billion, which will go to $56 billion in nuclear plant guarantees in the war bills. So under the cover of fighting terror, of war, of like you say, international, you know, endless international war without end.
And the big mega banks are global. They want war, so they're going to tell Congress, fly kite.
And no matter, you know, in other words, someone's making money off this increasing global militarization of our foreign policy and our financial system. It's a very troubling thing. You know, I'm, you know, how the mechanism is being done, that's my investigative work, is to go into the details. The grander, you know, I'll give you the dots, and Alex, you connect them.
All right, GregPalast.com. Thank you for joining us, Greg.
Great, Alex, as always.
All right, we're going to come back with James Rappoport via video Skype for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers and audio for all the great radio listeners. And I will blitz through a bunch of news as well. It is really stacking up. We're not in Kansas anymore.
When you're out on the road, the last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond gusset jeans. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond gusset jeans got it. Others don't.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Calbin Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calbin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calbin on the web at 5starsoap.com. A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even if I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
We're going to talk more about this tomorrow. Aaron Dykes' girlfriend, named Eva, is really nice, and she's from Germany. And she was coming over here to visit him. She was over here a few months ago. And Aaron Dykes, our reporter. Thank you. We're now into the third hour here. Again, I'm Alex Jones, your host. I might need to add that. But she was flying into the United States, and they called her in, and they said, you know Alex Jones, and you know Ron Paul, and you hate America. And she said a lady with a Polish accent screamed at her off and on for hours, kind of like when I flew up to Canada one time to cover Bilderberg, and said, you're being sent back, and we're revoking the visa waiver program, you know, because everybody from the EU can just fly over here, Germany, France, you name it. And just screamed at her and flew her back to Germany. But said, you know Alex Jones, you're here for Ron Paul to protest the G20. They were supposed to fly her to Houston, but they rerouted the plane to Illinois, to Chicago. And, of course, they've canceled that G20 meeting and moved it to Camp David there outside D.C. But just really, I mean, that shows you the whole spy grid. But the borders are wide open, and illegal aliens can do whatever they want. I mean, they have big Mexican consulates in Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, where you just go in, anybody can go in and get a fake ID that is accepted by the police, insurance companies, banks. People are like, but it's the Mexican consulate. Yeah, but it's a fake ID. They'll give it to anybody. What was it, 6-7 years ago, I had the Speaker of the Colorado Senate on at the time. He went in one day and got 4 at one Mexican consulate at one day. An Anglo guy, can't even speak Spanish, went in 4 times in a circle and went in and got 4 different ones that you can set up a bank account, anything with. But you want to fly here from South Africa or Germany or Australia, you are treated like abject trash. You know, I've seen the videos on YouTube of people having these problems, and I've talked to folks that I personally know this has happened to, where, well, one guy's got a French wife. He's had 2 children with her. And she still has to go back to France a few times a year, and the government's always threatening to kick her out of the country. I mean, this country is such a joke, folks. Everything is about targeting the law-abiding. Everything is about running us into the ground, while the criminal government does whatever it wants. I mean, I've had police on this show. They've been in the news where illegal aliens are arrested for DWI. The judges just let them go. And again, I'm not disliking Latin American illegals. The point is, why are they above the law? Because it's part of the merger of North America. In the SPP documents that Judicial Watch sued and got a long time ago, it's all there. All right, I have got an insane amount of news and loaded phones here. And there's so much crazy news coming out. I mean, they're now admitting that Google is run by DARPA and the Department of Defense. That's in CNET News, which is CBS. Google hires DARPA Director Regina Duggan. I mean, it was publicly set up by DARPA. So you think you're getting info, they're getting info on you. And they get you to opt in. That's their trick. When Silicon Valley a few months ago killed the SOPA bill, it's because they weren't going to let the ham-fisted recording industry come in and do it. They said, no, that's not how we do it. We just disappear people off the web. We're going to have web IDs, web taxes, all of that. So big news. Department of Justice wants court to keep Google NSA partnership secret. Court hearing scheduled for next week, an ongoing effort by Privacy Group to expose details of working relationships. Steve Watson. Another article that I've got here in my stack that I'll try to get to tomorrow because we've got our guest holding and I want to hear from him. James Rappoport of NoMoreFakeNews.com, great mind when it comes to this information. Jon Rappoport, excuse me. What did I call him? James Rappoport. James, John, call him Jack Rappoport. We'll call me Easter Bunny. Anyway, side issue, Jon Rappoport. Problem is I got so much in my mind, so much I want to cover here that I end up just stumbling over it all. Last year, pro-life groups came out and said that a flavoring division of PepsiCo was using aborted fetal tissue for the flavoring in Pepsi products. And I went and researched it, and there was evidence it was true. Now Pepsi has gone in federal court, and I have the article here in my stack, and I went and read the ruling last night. This came out like a week ago. I just learned of it last night. Because people on the message board at InfoWars on the stories will say, hey, check this out. And I sat there and read the ruling, and they said, yeah, we are using fetal tissue, but we don't want our shareholders to have access to what we're putting in the drinks. And because they got, pro-life, but also just sane people on their board. Not on their board, but as stockholders. And so the Obama administration ruled in an amicus brief to the federal court that this is just business practices. Standard business and flavorings are a secret. Now, Coke is cocaine. It's decocainated cocaine. People are like, really? Yeah, that's why it's called Coke. Go look it up. It's a fact. And PepsiCo goes along those lines and uses the denatured cocaine flavor. But I thought I would start here today where I begun last week when Jon Rappoport was on the nightly news show, bringing this up because he'd been writing about something that's now been picked up by the mainstream, that all these bioethicist journals that are the prestigious groups that sit over the hospital boards are saying, yeah, we're going to kill even healthy babies. Forget the debate about killing babies that have problems. Pretty soon, oh, you're blind. Oh, you have hearing problems. You're dead. Oh, your genetics show you're aggressive. We say that's a handicap. You're dead. They say kill babies up to 3 that are healthy. And there's a new article out, bioethicist professor drugged the population to accepting green world order with chemicals in the food and water. That's already going on. See, we're in this nightmare scenario. So I wanted to raise that with him, that even when I can't believe something's real, that they're using baby fetuses for flavoring. I knew they were using them for women's cosmetics. I knew that it was in a lot of the vaccines. But, I mean, it's in the Pepsi. Jon Rappoport of NoMoreFakeNews.com. I mean, the dehumanization is just incredible, John.
Hey, Alex, it goes across the board. I mean, you can start with genetically modified food. You can start anywhere in the food chain. But this piece in the Journal of Medical Ethics was basically a recommendation that said anything that can be aborted before birth can be killed after birth for the same reasons or no reasons without it being a crime or even something you have to blink at, because this is not a real person yet. This was the hypothesis offered by a couple of insane ethicists, mind you, because you see, a person is only a person when they can envision goals and they want to go after them and achieve them. But up until that age, whenever that occurs, they're really not a person. So the parents, the state, anybody could just decide to kill them, and it would be okay. It wouldn't be a crime. And so this was reported with a straight face. I mean, I read some of the comment sections, people saying, no, this couldn't be real. I mean, this is some kind of a joke. It's not even April 1st yet. But no, this is the academic world, cooperating with intelligence agencies, governments, and so forth, with the program of trying to convince people, okay, we can do anything we want to you, and we don't have to call it a crime. It doesn't matter. You're under our umbrella, and we control the situation. And people don't respond to this. They just read it, and they pass on to something else. But this is happening. This is like saying, we've got a guy over in Princeton University, Lee Silver, who said for a long time now, well, what we really need to do is, and this is going to happen, we're going to genetically engineer the human race. And people who can afford to buy the good genes, they'll buy them in the free market. And those that can't will be completely separate and living separate from the enhanced part of the population. Well, this is mainstream academia. We're not talking about people hiding in bunkers somewhere, cooking up bizarre scenarios.
This is not Island of Dr. Moreau. This is what they really are doing. And I think you hit the nail completely on the head when you pointed out This was reported like they were talking about the price of squash or something at the local grocery store, and people were in the London Telegraph article, the InfoWars article, and others saying this can't be real, this is a joke, because the globalists are moving the Overton window. They're getting everybody ready now, where they go, yeah, there's world government. Yeah, we're putting stuff in your water. Yeah, we're going to kill babies. Bill Gates is like, yeah, we're going to kill grandma. I mean, it's just, it's like, why do you think they're coming out in the open right now?
Because they think that people are so depleted, brainwashed, weak, hypnotized, that there won't be any reaction to it. I mean, this is all an intelligence agency type operation, propaganda operation that's been going on in the press for decades now. You tell one story wilder than another. It doesn't matter what it is. Man born with 6 heads, 3 donkeys seen falling out of the sky in Russia. And after a while, people become so inured to all of this, they just don't respond. And so then you come out with a story saying, well, 2 ethicists recommend killing babies, and it's not a crime, and everybody nods their heads because they've been conditioned to accept this incredibly bizarre world of information that we live in, and so the powers that be have now assumed, okay, population is sunk. They have no power left. They don't know what they're doing. They're in a trance. We can come out in the open and say whatever we want.
Exactly. I don't know if you heard my first hour, but I was driving to work today with people with their smartphones up to their faces, wrecking and crashing and smashing. It was like a zombie movie. We'll be right back. A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even though I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
So you're a maker of something. Wood crafts, fishing lures, glass designs, jewelry, purses, perfumes, goat's milk soap. Whatever it is, you made it here in America. Now you're eager for people to buy your products right here locally, instead of buying competing products made on the other side of the world, right? Then you need to check out localmakers.com. Support America. Buy and sell locally at localmakers.com. Doesn't matter if you're a home-based business or a major manufacturer. Localmakers.com offers an easy way to connect with customers within your local community, as well as across the U.S., simply by entering a zip code. And there's no cost to join. So if you're a maker who needs buyers, go to localmakers.com and stock your products on one of our shelves. Localmakers.com, promoting, preserving, and supporting your neighbors' manufacturing businesses.
We all know the importance of having storable foods, but what about when the food runs out? What then? For real food independence, you need a supply of non-hybrid seeds. Introducing the Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com. The Survival Seed Vault is sealed for freshness and includes 20 varieties of easy-to-grow non-hybrid seeds for only $37.95. For less than $40, you've got real food independence, and the Survival Seed Vault includes detailed planting and seed-saving instructions. Imagine the barter power you'll have when the food supply does collapse. Right now, save $9 instantly when you buy 3 or more Survival Seed Vaults from MyPatriotSupply.com. Same-day shipping on all orders, plus free shipping on orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Or discover more emergency preparedness products at MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
Attention, information in this 1-minute message could save your life.
Don't wait for the next emergency to happen. Act now to be prepared. Now, more than ever, civilians and communities must communicate with family, friends, and neighbors in the event of civil unrest, natural disasters, or other emergencies. That's why there's civildispatch.com. Civildispatch.com is a universal system that can be used for a wide array of urgent notification alerts. Weather emergencies, civil unrest, emergency responders, Amber Alerts, school or business closings, any need-to-know situation. Civildispatch.com is an emergency dispatch communication system, allowing anyone to quickly and easily send and instantaneously track emergency email and text alert notifications. Civildispatch.com gives you the power of enterprise alerting without the enterprise cost. Don't find yourself unprepared. Learn more and become a member at civildispatch.com. That's civildispatch.com. Civilian Emergency Dispatch System. Peace through preparedness.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Jon Rappoport is our guest. Jon, we know what this program is, and I've studied the globalists. I know you have in your decades as an investigative journalist. They've got a weird system of rules where they have to tell you what they're going to do to you before they do it. And so what I see them doing is dehumanizing us, but giving us the choice, making us where we don't care about each other and will watch a woman bleed to death hit by a car, or whatever the case is. We know that's at epic proportions right now, people being totally self-centered. And then as the globalists come in and start accelerating their soft kill, we can't stand up for each other because we've had our very survival instinct taken from us. And people now revel in being ignorant. It's seen as a badge of honor to be an idiot, to be soft, to be metrosexual. What is the global controller's end game? From your decades of research, working in ABC, CBS newsrooms, investigative journalists for big magazines, for folks that I'm introducing you to, may not know who you are. Bottom line, everything seems to be accelerating right now. What is the end game sum?
The end game sum to me is the planet as a universal hospital. And everybody's a patient under lifelong care, dependent on the controllers. People strutting around wearing the badges that signify proudly what their diseases and disorders are. Their ignorance is just as if, you were talking about a minute ago there, breeding a whole new kind of world citizen, you see. I'm dependent, yes, of course, and I'm proud to be dependent on the forces above. And I've got the diseases and the disorders and the disabilities and the ignorance to prove it, that I am completely dependent. And this is how I proudly state myself. And of course, then you install the control mechanisms and the bureaucracies and the regional governments and the global de facto management system to bring it all into being. This is one reason why I've focused so heavily on the medical cartel over the last 15 years, because this is, in the long run, the real thrust of this whole thing, is to debilitate people so thoroughly with chemicals and drugs and vaccines and so forth. My friend Robert Scott Bell and I just did a 10-hour audio seminar out of, defense called Vaccines Armed and Dangerous, because we want to get this information out to people who are not yet quite brainwashed, that, this is where everything is being funneled into this idea of dependence, disease, disorder. You don't know what you're doing. You're a victim. You can't stand up for yourself.
This is pure crystallized veritas. I tried to say everything you just said in an hour, in the first hour that you just said in 2 minutes. Pure truth. From my gut, my intellectual understanding, my deep research, the globalists, as you know, admit they're going to GMO everything and screw up the environment so they control it. They're playing God. They want to make everybody sick and then give you treatments that make you a slave to them, screw up the DNA so bad you've got to go to them to have a kid. Then they decide what's aggressive genes. They admit they're going to fix it. They're admitting all this. It is so diabolical.
Yeah, it's completely over the top. They're just coming right out in the open, and they're saying this, see, that you don't have any choice here. It's not about freedom anymore. I mean, where do you even see in the mainstream press anymore the phrase individual freedom, or God forbid, individual power? I mean, that's completely X'd out of the equation. Those words are verboten. It's all now about the group. It's about the collective, about what you owe to the community, your membership in the society of being screwed, basically, of being a victim. Whether you want to be or not, whether you're a real victim or a phony victim, we accept you. But in order to gain admission, in order to buy that ticket, in order to get in the door, in order to be a member of, the globalist controlled world, you have to admit that you're powerless. That's what you've got to do, and that you're diseased, and that you're disabled, and that you're ignorant, and that you don't know what logic is, and you can't think. Then we open the door wide to you, and we say, aha, you belong now, and you get all the benefits. And of course, it's cradle to grave, Alex. I mean, the medical cartel, when they vaccinate a baby, in the first few hours of birth, bang. What they're hoping for is much more than a vaccine. It's, we've got you in the system now. You are a cradle-to-grave patient.
We've begun to literally, like vampires, debilitate you, and from the diseases we're giving you now, we're going to suck you dry through your whole life. And they also feed on the misery. They love it. Globalists, from studying them, hate beauty and strength and individualism. They're the pit of hell. Jon Rappoport, our guest. We'll be right back. Amazing information.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Folks, Iran and the Mideast nuclear mess is already ballooning our gas prices. Whether you're struggling with food costs, which are being blown up by gas costs now, or know that when the Mideast showdown explodes, whatever food supply you have is all you'll get because of huge panic demand, eFoods Direct Family Packs are the answer. Now, the most affordable best food is saving you up to 50% compared to other poor quality food companies. The new Alex Jones Quick Fix Family Packs save you so much money, the savings from eating this food will actually help you pay your other bills. No matter what effect the Mideast crisis or the crashing economy have, you'll have food as delicious tonight as 25 years from now. Order now for 50% savings and free shipping on these affordable family packs. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Call 800-409-5633 or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now, new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup, insurance, and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365. Hi folks, this is Alex Jones, and I want to tell you about the Silver Lungs generator. Now you can produce pure and endless colloidal silver and deliver the solution directly into the bloodstream by breathing the solution through the lungs. The respiratory system is the first line of defense for airborne pathogens and viruses. The Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced nano-silver solutions and also delivers the silver nanoparticles instantly into the bloodstream. With continued legislation threatening the sale of nano-silver products, you can now produce pure and endless colloidal silver with the Silver Lungs generator. Very easy to follow step-by-step instructions are provided, making production fast and simple. Go to www.silverlungs.com today and learn more about the breakthrough technology of the Silver Lungs generator. That's www.silverlungs.com.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
All right, I've literally got hundreds of insane articles here in front of me. I covered some of them in the first and second hour, but more and more I realize that our fight is about getting people to think for themselves. Now, a lot of people are waking up, but then they just don't trust anything. They don't have any information, so then they turn everything into a conspiracy instead of real global government out in the open coming down on us. And I agree with Jon Rappoport of NoMoreFakeNews.com that it is the medical tyranny, that it's at the heart of the eugenics, the heart of the takeover. Your local doctor is just brainwashed and compartmentalized. And he was getting into vaccines. Look at what they put in the water. They call it fluoride. Then they say fluoride's good. Well, it's hundreds of chemicals under the name fluoride. Then you find out it is a program to reduce fertility and cause DNA damage. And then now they're admitting it. See, what's crazy is they've gone from denying all this, and I think we were really hurting them back when they would say there's no Bilderberg group just 6 years ago. Now they say it exists, but we're crazy to not like it. But now they come out and say, yeah, we are drugging your water. What you going to do about it? So I think it's an attempt to psychologically, like John was saying, just condition everybody where everything's so wild, people kind of get overwhelmed and tune out. But I don't really see that working. It's working with a large mass of people, but unfortunately, they've never counted people that want to be sheep, that want to be run over. It's always been a very small group on the side of evil and a very small group on the side of liberty who want to see true human empowerment that fight over things. And I'm telling you, I think we've got greater numbers than people even had back in 1775, John. But I want to get your expert take on that. But at the same time, they have this scorched earth policy, though, of madness. I mean, sure, there's a method to the madness, but still, aren't the global social controllers themselves insane?
I don't think you could frame any better definition of insanity than that. I mean, that is the epitome of insanity. But I agree with you. There are so many people who are waking up and who understand what the stakes are in this game and that how important individual freedom is. But to me, this is a crucial thing here. You have to say, look, it's about freedom. It is about freedom. For example, do you have the right to refuse a vaccine or a drug? Do you have the right to take a nutritional supplement and take care, manage your own health, your own body, and so forth? Do you have that freedom? Is that a right? Because as soon as people begin to think about that, they begin to wake up. They say, well, don't I? I mean, I would assume I have that right.
And wow, the government's trying to bully me now and lying and saying it's the law when it's not. Okay, well, here's an example. With this whole thing with choice. This is a control freak revolution against our common law and basic facts. Take the TSA, John. As you know, they're there to say guilty until proven innocent, and only the government is exempt. I mean, isn't that a all-out revolution against freedom?
Yeah, of course. It's the idea, well, everybody is now a potential terrorist. You have a baby in a carriage, you have a 3-year-old, your grandmother who's 95 and she can't walk. Everybody is now a potential terrorist, despite the fact that there are much better methods of doing security at airport than all of this insanity.
And despite the fact most of the terrorism staged.
Yeah, yeah, we can't forget that little item. See, but I predicted that these newspapers, the media, basically, who are the organs of, global forces, globalist forces, were going to go under. 10, 15 years ago, as soon as I got on the internet, I said, well, that's it for them. I mean, because they are just simply propaganda outlets. They don't know how to save themselves. They're just going to keep parroting the line, and people are going to start waking up on the internet, and these media organs are going down the tubes, which is exactly what's been happening. I mean, the New York Times is refinancing the financing of their debt just to stay afloat. And, I've talked with several mainstream reporters and editors, and I said to them, listen, I said, let's just take a ridiculous scenario, which is you make me managing editor of your newspaper, and in 6 months, I'll save your newspaper. Your sales will go so far through the roof, you won't even believe it. And they said, well, what are you talking about? I said, because I've got a list of maybe 30 or 40 stories right here at my fingertips that if you not only put in your headlines every day, but pound it on day after day after day after day, your sales would be off the charts. And they said, well, for example, what? And I said, okay, every year in the United States, medical system kills 225,000 people every year. So by decade, that's 2.25 million people through what happens in hospitals, and 106,000 a year deaths caused by FDA-approved medicines. And I've got the study that illustrates that and proves it. July 26, 2000, Journal of the American Medical Association, Dr. Barbara Starfield, who at the time was working for the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. It's all there. Now let's take that story and let's run with it like you ran with Watergate. Every day, pounding on it, doctors coming out of the woodwork, finally confessing they knew about this, the FDA admitting they knew about this and did nothing about it, the government never trying to remedy this situation. 2.25 million people killed every year in the United States through the medical system. That's medical genocide. Let's take that one story. I could save your newspaper with that one story. We would be running articles day, night, afternoon. You would be selling 3 editions on the street every day. And they just ran away into the woodwork, screaming into the night, because they realized they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it because they're sold. They're bought and sold. They're the complete ownership of the medical cartel in that case.
So where do you see all this in the future going? I keep saying, what's the end game? We know their end game, a giant system where they give us one poison and then make us shell out for the cure or the treatment, to that poison. Never, telling us they're the one engaged in the poisoning, even though they've been caught, versus their plan for humanity. How do you see this battle, this interchange taking place? Because we've got a leg up on them because we're an ancient species. Humans want to be free. We're very adaptive, despite all their attacks. That's when humans really start to shine. They've been trying to kill us with this plastic, poisonous, fake prosperity. People are really, starting to wake up to that. But there's also, in history, in every major culture, when things start going really nuts, people tend to defend the status quo even more. And so, like I said, the system is openly trying to act really wild and nuts right now, like you said, to just create a learned helplessness or a overload. How do you see all that mixing together?
Decentralization of power is the key. Always was, always will be. People begin to opt out of the system in every way possible along every front. Now, people can't do this all at once in every aspect, but they can begin to do it. And people are doing it. In other words, you live without the need of having the government and major mega corporations be your kings and queens. Communities, people helping each other, people growing their own food, people taking care of their own health, people beginning to take back their own power and responsibility over their lives. And this is a message that, this is not the first announcement of this. People have been doing this now for decades, which is why the government is terrified of this. Because they understand this is the key linchpin that can come loose in their system of control. If people just say, well, you guys are completely insane. I can see it. A lot of my friends can see it. In fact, thousands of people that I know online are looking at it all the time. And we're decentralizing. There are now probably over 100 private currencies in the United States. I know of several myself. They're completely legitimate, in fact. And they bring people into a completely different relationship with each other by actually producing and inventing their own.
And that's why the system is panicking. Now, what about the issue of the fact that the globalists are now trying to psychologically inoculate us because they know that we've already exposed their eugenics plan? I believe that's the main reason they're throwing it all in our face, going, yeah, we're putting stuff in the water, but it's good to die for the earth. Yeah, we're doing that to screw up your DNA. You're a bad human. I mean, they didn't want to come out with this now. I don't believe, I clearly know that they're trying to titrate the dose of this poison because they understand that if we continue to wake people up at this rate, there's going to be a more and more of a giant opt-out of their system. And as you know, John, it's people don't have to fix the world by themselves like Atlas holding it up. It's police officers quietly not doing unconstitutional things. It's parents not fighting with each other, realizing the system tries to condition them to do it. It's turning off and killing your television or locking it up in the cupboard. It's growing an organic garden. It's thinking about things. I mean, the power of humanity is so great if we just start the wheels turning, and we've shown people how to do that. And as the globalist curses, of degradation and stench unfold, as the fruits of the psycho New World Order unfold, we're going to be like selling snow cones in hell, brother. Do you see where I'm getting at that?
Oh, yeah, believe me. I see it very well. Just look at it this way. Your listeners, people that have been on my website for years, understand the titanic effort of essentially mind control that has been launched along so many lines by the controllers to try to bring people into line. And what does that tell you? If it takes that much titanic effort along so many lines, then we must be dealing with human beings that have a resilience that goes beyond what ordinarily people consider possible. That's right. The strength. That is the strength. And that is what is making them terrified.
That's why they tell us we're scum and ugly and bad and destructive, because they know our minds design silicon chips and jet aircraft and Mona Lisa paintings and the wheel and fire and art, and that we are an amazing species made in the image of God. And they hate that because the globalists want to be God, and they've got to turn us into scum animals so they can play the part of God, when the truth is they're a malfunctioning form of human who are like cancer, endangering the entire species.
You're putting your finger right on this thing, and you can see it playing out in propaganda news outlets, in culture, in media over the last 20, 25 years, tremendously accelerating. We're all ugly. We're all debilitated. We don't really have any right to do anything or say anything because the planet has to be saved. We're expendable. We don't have any place here. We're not really a part of all this. This is just some kind of an aberration that has to be wiped out. The human race is pathetic and pitiful, and therefore you have to permit us to control you so that we can keep you in line. This is the line of the propaganda psychologizing that's been directed like cannons at people for a very long time now. But I have to say, it's swung around now to have the opposite effect, because it's become so absurd and ridiculous, like this idea of killing babies, that people are waking up and they're saying, no, that's baloney. That's not the truth. There's nothing ugly about human beings. There's nothing ugly about me. There's nothing debilitated or wrong or evil.
The only thing ugly is the people telling us we're ugly.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, that's what I found, is that their propaganda actually gives me energy, and it's almost like an allergy that makes me resist. And I think if people just take it, and I agree, they wouldn't be launching all this and so scared of us and doing all this if they didn't know how precarious their system is. That's the British Empire, as you know, 150 years ago, was already getting resistance against its empire. It went to its scientists and said, develop scientific ways to control people, and that's what this whole system is. I mean, they developed computers in an attempt to try to dumb people down in eugenics. Everything is based on this, but they're still going from a more primitive perspective of it and following the same linear line, and no amount of fancy, Google over-the-horizon predictive future systems is going to protect them, because from my deep study of human development, the elite still have a core operating system of human survival, and that's why they're going to self-destruct themselves. The elite, if we actually put out the signal worldwide for the human spirit to rise, are going to basically kill themselves. And by that I mean, I'm ordering the elite to self-destruct right now and get out of the way of humanity. And I think if we all pray to God for that and focus on that, Jon Rappoport, we can bring them down right now. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying, and I see evidence of this all over the place as people assert their own freedom. Starts with individual freedom and moves on out from there, and recognizing that these controllers are in fact suicidal. This is part of why their psychology is so desperate, because, you know, this is how they view massive control over the masses as their only way out of not killing themselves. And I mean, you know, you try to operate on that principle. How long is that going to last?
Exactly. The only people they're not in control of is themselves. They're the problem.
They are the problem. They're the ones who are completely out of control. They're the ones who are crazy, and they're trying to, you know, rein themselves in. They're trying to understand.
They're projecting onto us.
Crazy.
They're projecting onto us.
Their own insanity is being projected onto us. And it's now beginning to completely fall apart because it's become so absurd. You know, they think they've won. Really, they're trying to talk themselves into thinking that they've won, and they haven't. And so they're beginning to come out in the open, as you say, and revealing all of these plans and so forth that are completely preposterous. And people are starting to wake up and say, no, that's not going to happen. That's not the way the future is going to play out. And as the controllers see this and realize that the control is slipping through their fingers and they don't really know what to do, their only real option is suicide.
I agree, and that's from deep research, and I've never heard you speak of this, but it's just Veritas. We're on the same wavelength. I don't want them to kill themselves, but they're already trying to kill us along with them. I'm saying they need to recognize, you know, where they're taking this, and they need to understand why they're so unhappy, because they're going against the universe.
Yeah, they're going against what they are themselves, against what we are, against what everything that's alive on this planet is. They're completely trying to, you know, oppose that. And most of all, they're trying to oppose themselves, because they have been raised and trained to believe that absolute control is the only way that they can survive. And that is totally insane, because you can't control everything. But they're trying, and they're failing, and they will, you know, enter a period of self-devastation where they just absolutely kill themselves off because they see no way out. It's like you walk down this very long corridor and you keep telling yourself things are getting, oh yeah, I'm in control of this. Things are getting much better. Oh yeah, we're doing fine. And as you get further and further toward the end and you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you realize that you've been, you know, these controllers, that they've been deluding themselves all along, and that what they're really walking toward is their own death. That's what they're facing.
That's right. They need to learn to turn loose.
Yeah. To realize that if you let something survive on its own and have free will and independence, it's not the end of the world. It's, you know, it's not destruction. It's not automatic destruction. These people, many of these, you know, elite controllers, and, you know, we've talked about what various groups they belong to and so forth, have been raised and trained in mind control to believe that everybody else on Earth is a machine or a lower order animal that threatens their survival. That's their brainwashing, and it's not working.
Jon Rappoport, I've never heard such Veritas. This is deep truths. That's why it's ringing with all of you as truth. John, I already told you this last week, but I'd like to invite you someday next week or after that to host the whole show, because I really want to hear what you have to say.
I'd be happy to.
I've seen the longevity products work for many others. And so I bought a bunch of them, started using them, had a little bit of results, but I wasn't following the regimen every day. But Aaron Dykes in my office did and lost more than 60 pounds. When I saw those results, I said, I better follow my own advice. I started taking the longevity products, and it's been incredible. 37 pounds in 2 months. Our bodies are amazing, and God gave us an incredible gift. But if our body doesn't have the tools it needs, all of the vitamins, all of the minerals, and the other key essential trace elements, we're not going to be healthy. Folks, this isn't hype. I only bring to my listeners products that I've tried myself and I truly believe in. And the amazing supplements available at InfoWarsTeam.com have certainly delivered in my life. I hope you'll give them a try. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
Hey there, you've reached Claire. Leave me a message. Claire, it's Ann. Hey, you know that hormone balancing product we talked about before? The all-natural one, Amberen? Well, I gotta tell you this. Not only did Amberen stop my hot flashes, but since I started the Amberen program, I have lost so much weight. Seriously, even my belly fat, it's gone. I haven't been this thin in years. I feel great. Give me a call.
The leading cause of weight gain in women over 40 is hormonal imbalance. Until you balance your hormones, it can be practically impossible to lose weight. Amberen restores hormonal balance naturally, so the weight can just fall off. Yes, even that stubborn belly fat. Plus, Amberen eliminates other symptoms of hormonal aging too. So with your hormones in balance, you can feel great and finally lose the weight. Be one of the first 50 callers right now, and they'll send you a complimentary risk-free trial with a 30-day supply, free. Call 1-800-408-1130. That's 1-800-408-1130. 1-800-408-1130.
Don't answer it.
If fear strikes your heart when the phone rings, knowing it may be another bill collector, it's time for you to call Zero Debt in 90 Days. 800-477-9256. Settlements, bankruptcy, and attorneys are not the answer and may end up costing you up to 10 times more than necessary. Listen, if you're already in debt, does it make sense to get buried in another payment plan? Zero Debt in 90 Days gets you out of debt in 90 days guaranteed, without a payment plan and without attorneys or going to court. Get the fastest relief from debt on the planet when you call 800-477-9256. If you have debt with the IRS, credit cards, student loans, or a foreclosure, we can help at Zero Debt in 90 Days, and we are the only organization to provide written guarantees on the results. Go to ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. That's ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. Or call now for free information. 800-477-9256. That's 800-477-9256.
Our guest is Jon Rappoport. NoMoreFakeNews.com. My sites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. You know, the danger for those of us that are really deeply awake and who have faced the horror of the globalists, but also the incredible power of humanity, is that we tend to get what I call, or what they called in World War II, target psychosis. You get so close to it that you stop even caring. I mean, the extreme of not caring how you look or how you're dressing or what people think about you. And I tend to not plug sponsors, promote books, videos, any of it. We are funded by you. So think about it at Infowars.com, the books, the videos, the T-shirts, our sponsors, all of it. And also get over there and support what Jon Rappoport's doing. And I'll just have to go to calls tomorrow. I got to some today. I can feel it's all coming down to a crossroads. It's coming to a head. I can see it intellectually. People better do whatever they can now and make hay while the sun shines, because the globalists are going to pull out every stop in their attempt to keep humanity under their control and set up this mad scientist system. I look at the art that the globalists are always into. Very, very dark stuff. Very, very disgusting stuff. And, you know, I just know if we offer the alternative to that darkness, we're going to win. We got about 3 or 4 minutes. Closing comments on that front, Jon Rappoport.
I completely agree, Alex. And people know this. You know, when you see something fabulous, fantastic, uplifting, enormous in its impact, you know you're alive. You know you're free. All this just happens spontaneously. You don't even have to think about it. And you realize what your life could be, what your future could be, and what everybody's life could be. And when you then go back and you start looking at all this insane propaganda that's being leveled at people to try to make them believe that they're worthless and ugly and of no account, and et cetera, and you have to be little sheep in our herd, that we control you, otherwise you're dangerous. All of this nonsense looks the height of absurdity and insanity. You got to stay alive to that realization and go with it, and not just fall back, you know, and sink down and say, well, I just had a momentary illumination, but it doesn't really matter. No, that's what matters. That's the thing that really matters. All of the other insanity and absurdity is just an attempt to paint an illusion of the world the way it isn't. The way it isn't, and to have you buy that illusion. And you don't have to buy it, and you know you don't have to buy it. None of us have to.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think, we only got a minute and a half left, why do you think we're still alive?
Well, I think we're still alive, and a lot of other people are still alive, because underneath all of this madness and crime is the hope of everybody on the planet that we work this out and live the life that we can really live. You know, I've talked to some people who were former insiders. I can't go into details, we don't have enough time. But they basically said to me, listen, when we talk to you, we feel better. We feel better because you're not looking at things the way we're looking at it. And maybe we're wrong. Maybe we need to wake up, you know? And I think that's...
No, I've been told the exact same thing. Can you imagine how alluring those of us that love liberty are compared to those that are turned over to darkness?
Oh, I mean,
we have the power of billions of people that don't have a voice shining through us. And when you become a leader, folks, all the good people's power begins to flow through you. Is that what you're saying?
And vice versa. I mean, it's an exchange.
Yes.
It's an exchange. So everybody begins to say, yeah, I'm waking up. Freedom is the fundamental thing. Power. Individual power used for the good, not to interfere with anybody else's freedom. Imagination, creativity.
Real individual power is sharing power with others and lifting others up. It's incredible. Amazing, Jon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to GCN.